will also be live with surrogates from the campaigns inside.
Yes.
Here we go, baby. Dun 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 dun. Bum 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 bum.
Oh God, I've been waiting my entire life for this. Oh yeah.
We're live from Georgia.
Georgia.
Big
A-town.
battleground state.
A-town.
28-3, baby.
28-3.
Big battleground state. Huge debate. All right, who's our viewers? Our
Oh, they're
moderators?
inside. You know what? There's never been a presidential debate that's outside. We are delayed. I mean, Mom, it's going to be delayed because it's on a stream. By the time you see it, it's going to be. If you have it on your TV and then watching us, it's not going to.
Yeah, you just have to watch our stream.
Between President Joe Biden and former President Donald
Oh.
Trump in their rematch for the nation's highest office. Each will make his case to the American people.
It's so like dramatic. I hate it.
Are those mugs real? Oh, they are. Okay. For a second, it looked like they have CGI mugs.
Why does he have two mugs?
One for water, one for coffee, like I do. I have my water bottle.
Yeah, but
my
you don't
Coke.
put water in a coffee mug.
I see you, David. Yeah, I said hello. Sorry if you missed it.
Who's David?
Former President Trump will be on the left side.
Audio for the debate's quiet. All right, let me bump. I'll try to bump it up.
A coin toss determined their positions. Each candidate
Oh,
will
2
have
minutes.
2 minutes to answer a question and 1 minute each for responses and rebuttals.
You know this. They're
An
never gonna
additional
follow
minute
these
for
rules.
follow-up clarification or response is at the moderator's discretion.
When it's time for a candidate to speak, his microphone will be
this
turned
better?
on and his opponent's microphone will be turned off. Should a candidate interrupt when his microphone is muted, he will be difficult to understand
Should be better.
for viewers at home.
I'm looking at the mixer
At the
here.
end of the debate, each candidate will get 2 minutes for closing statements.
Test 1,
There
2.
is no studio
There we go. I
audience
think that
tonight.
should be good.
Pre-written notes, props, or contact with campaign staff are not permitted during the debate. By accepting our
Yeah, they can't
invitation
text
to
their
both
debate guy
candidates
and
and
be
their
like, "Hey, what's
campaigns
going on? What else should I
agreed
say
to
here?"
accept these rules.
Now, please welcome the 46th President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Oh.
How are you?
Folks are. This is a cognitive test, most of all.
And please welcome the 45th President of the United States,
Oh,
Donald
oh,
Trump.
he looks so mad. All right.
Oh, I'm going to do this fucking shit again.
Look at him. I wonder if he's gonna say hello. Says nothing. Nothing.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for being
Dude,
here. Let's begin the debate.
let's go.
And let's start with the issue that voters
Why does my-
consistently say is their
Whatever.
top
Closed caption
concern,
keeps moving.
the
I can't change
economy.
it. Sorry.
President Biden, inflation has slowed, but prices remain high. Since you took office, the price of essentials has increased. For example, a basket of groceries that cost $100
Yeah,
basket.
talk
now
about
costs
the
more than
economy. They're gonna go there
$120.
first.
And typical home prices have jumped more than 30%. What do you say to voters who feel they are worse off under your presidency than they were under President Trump?
We got to take a look at what I was left when I became president.
Oh God.
What Mr. Trump left me. We had an economy that was in free fall. The pandemic was so badly handled. Many people were dying. All he said was, "It's not that serious. Just inject a little bleach into your arm."
Oh, the bleach in the
The
arm.
economy collapsed. There were no jobs. Unemployment rate rose to 15%. It was
dude.
terrible. And so what we had to do is try to put.
I can't believe this is
Some
real.
water.
That's
You need some
exactly what
water.
we began to do. We created 15,000 new jobs.
Trump looks a
voice
little
is
older,
brought
but
out
Biden looks so much
position
worse than
where
he did 4
we have
years ago. It's
800,000
actually
new
crazy.
Manufacturing jobs, but there's more to be done. There's more to be done. Working class people are still in trouble. I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I come of a household where the kitchen table, if the things weren't
Classic
able to
Biden
get
line right there.
was a problem. Price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of housing, the price of a whole range of things.
Dude,
That's
he
why I'm
sounds
working
so
hard to make
bad. He
sure
needs water.
He sounds
deal
so.
with
He
those
sounds so old.
and we're going to make sure that we reduce the price of housing. We're going to make sure we build 2 million new units. We're going to make sure we cap rents so corporate greed can't take over. The combination, what I was left with in corporate greed, is the reason why we're in this.
He is
problem
talking
right now.
fast though.
In addition to that,
Because he's
we're in a
just like,
situation
he's
where
just going through his
if you have to
programming
take a
right
look at
now.
all that was done in his administration. He
He's like
didn't do
Chat
much at
GPT
all.
or whatever.
By
It's
the
just,
time he
he's just
left,
reading it
was
off as it
chaos.
comes in his brain.
Literally chaos. And so we put things back together. We created, I said, those jobs. We make sure we had a situation
Oh,
where
dude, I can't wait for
we
Trump,
now-
dude.
We brought down the price of prescription drugs, which is a major issue for many people, to $15 for a insulin shot.
Yeah, they give,
$400.
the drugs haven't kicked
No
in
senior
yet,
has
but
to
they're
pay more
starting
than
to. That's why he's
$200
going quick.
for any drug, all
He'll
the drugs they can
recalibrate.
beginning next year. And the situation is and we're going to make that available to everybody.
Trump's always had
all
makeup
Americans.
on. I mean,
So
they
we're
always
working to
put 'em
bring
on,
down
but
the prices
Biden looks
around
a
the
lot
kitchen table,
worse.
and that's what we're going to get done.
Thank you, President Trump.
What's up?
We had the greatest
Master.
economy in the history of our country.
That's Danny.
What's up, Danny?
We have never done so well. Everybody was amazed by it. Other countries were copying us. We got hit with COVID, and when we did, we spent the money necessary so we wouldn't end up in a Great Depression, the likes of which we had in 1929. By the time we finished, so
He knows
we did a
history.
great job. We got a lot of credit for the economy, a lot of credit for the military, and no wars, and so many other things. Everything was rocking good. But the thing we never got the
It's
credit
rocking
for,
good.
and we should have, is getting us out of that COVID mess. He created mandates that was a disaster for our country. But other than that, we had given them back a country where the stock market actually was higher than pre-COVID, and nobody thought that was even possible. The only jobs he created are for illegal immigrants and bounce-back jobs, a bounce
There it
back
is.
from the COVID. He has not done a good job. He's done a poor job, and inflation's killing our country. It is absolutely killing us.
Why does he sound more
Thank you, President
natural?
Biden.
Because Trump has
Well, look, the
Riz.
greatest economy in the world.
That's
I think
why.
he's the only one
was-
who
that was
thinks
actually really
I think
quick for
everybody
Trump. I'm
else thinks
surprised.
he's the
He's locked in
greatest
right now.
economy
He's
in the
so
world.
locked in.
And, the fact of the matter is that
He's
Oh my
hoping
God, he's
Biden beats
coughing.
we
himself.
find ourselves in a situation where his economy, he rewarded the wealthy. He had the largest tax cut in American history, $2 trillion. He raised a deficit larger than any president has in any one term. He's the only
Dude,
president. other than
Biden,
Herbert
man, he
Hoover,
sounds
who
so
had a
bad.
low-score job
It
than
does,
he had
he's
when
off
he
to a
began,
brutal
since
start.
Herbert
I don't even know.
Hoover.
I can't even pay
The
attention to what
idea
he's
is he
saying
did
because
something that was
it just
significant.
sounds.
And the
He sounds
military,
old, dude.
When he was president, they were still killing people in Afghanistan. He
Oh,
didn't
don't
do
bring up
anything about that.
Afghanistan. You're gonna
When
lose,
he was
bro.
president, we were still finding ourselves in a position where you had a notion that we were this safe country. The truth is, I'm the only president this century that doesn't have any this decade.
This century,
that
there's
doesn't
been
have any
4.
troops dying anywhere in the world.
Well, you
like
compare
he
you're
did.
comparing yourself to 4 people.
President Trump, I
What?
want to follow up if I can.
Yeah, you're comparing yourself to
allowed to
George W.
respond to
Bush.
Well, I'm
Cool.
going to ask you a follow-up. You can do whatever
What
you
a-
want
what
with
a
the minutes
flex.
we give you. I want to follow
That's
up.
the
You
bar
want to
of,
impose
like,
a 10%
war?
tariff on all goods coming into the U.S. How will you ensure that that doesn't drive prices even higher?
It's not going to drive them higher. It's just going to cost countries that have been ripping us off for years, like China and many others, in all fairness to China. It's going
China.
to just force them to pay us a lot of money, reduce our deficit tremendously, and give us a lot of power for other things. But he made a statement. The only thing he was right about is I gave you the largest tax cut in history. I also gave you the largest regulation cut in history. That's why we had all the jobs. And the jobs went down, and then they bounced back, and he's taking credit for bounce back jobs. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
He inherited 9% inflation. No, he inherited almost no inflation, and it stayed that way for 14 months. And then it blew up under his leadership because they spent money like a bunch of people that didn't know what they were doing, and they don't know.
It's
what
so
they're doing.
weird
It's the
not having
worst-
a
probably
crowd.
the worst
It's so
administration
dead
in history.
silent.
There's never
You know
been.
what I mean? There's
And
not
as
even
far
like
as
mumbles.
Afghanistan is
It's
concerned,
so
I
weird.
was getting out of Afghanistan, but we were getting out with dignity, with
I
strength.
feel like I'm
I
listening
told
to
you
like a
we're gonna bring up
podcast or
Afghanistan.
something.
He's gonna bring up
It was the most
Afghanistan.
embarrassing day in the history of our country's life.
President Trump, over the last
See?
8
Not
years
old news.
under both of your administrations, the
You're
national
right, I'll give you
debt
credit for
soared
that
to
one.
record highs.
I got a
And
maybe
according to
on
a
the
new
board.
nonpartisan analysis, President Trump, your administration approved $8.4 trillion in new debt, while so far, President Biden, you've approved $4.3 trillion in new debt. So, former President Trump, many of the tax cuts
Wait,
you
shit,
signed
I
into
did?
law are set to expire next year.
You're telling me for
You
now
want to
for the
extend
first
them and
time.
go even further, you say.
Wow.
With the U.S. facing trillion-dollar deficits and record debt, why should
Dude, we're
top
still.
earners
I love
and
that this is.
corporations pay
I
even
shouldn't
less
even be
in
mad
taxes
anymore. I just
than they
love
do
that this
now?
trend
The tax
continues.
cuts
That
spurred the greatest
people give a shit
economy
about the
that we've
debt. Who
ever seen
cares
just
about the
prior to
debt?
COVID. And even after COVID, it was so
They've been talking
strong
about
that
this
we were
since
able to get through
1970.
COVID much better than just about any other country.
No one solved
But
it.
we
Either
spurred that
side.
tax spurred. Now, when we
The
cut
debt
the
doesn't
taxes,
matter.
as
Yeah,
an example,
right.
the,
It's
corporate
like-
tax was cut down to 21% from 39%, plus beyond that. We took in more revenue with much less tax, and companies were bringing back trillions of dollars back into our country. The country was going like never before. and we were ready to start paying down debt. We were ready to start using the liquid gold right under our feet.
It sounds like
the oil and gas right under our
2020
feet. We were going to
so
have
much.
something that nobody else has had. We got hit with
Liquid
COVID.
gold.
We did a lot to fix it. I gave him an unbelievable situation with all of the therapeutics and all of the things that we came up with. We gave him something great. Remember, more people died under his administration, even though we had largely fixed it. More people died under his administration than our administration.
I don't know if that's
and
true,
we were
but
right
it's
in
an
the middle of it.
interesting flex.
Something which a lot of people don't like to talk about.
Yeah, that's a weird
but he
flex.
had far more people dying in his administration.
Now
He
we're
did a
doing, like,
mandate,
death
which is
counts.
a disaster, mandating it. The vaccine went out. He did a mandate on the vaccine, which is the thing that people most objected to about the vaccine. And he did a
I
very
literally have
poor
no idea
job,
what
just a very
having or
poor
not
job.
having debt even
And I
means
will
as a
tell
country.
you,
Every
not
country's
only
in
were we
debt to
there, but
somebody.
throughout the entire world, we're no longer respected as a country.
It's supposed to
They
show,
don't
like,
respect our
how
leadership.
good your
They don't
budget is
respect the
federally
United States
and
anymore.
whatnot,
We're
like,
a
but no one gives a
third
shit.
world nation
Both sides
between
don't give a shit.
weaponization of his election,
they make it a
trying to
talking
go after
point.
his political opponent. All of the things he's done, we've become like a third world nation, and it's a shame. The damage he's done to our country. And I'd love to ask him, and will, why he allowed millions
And
of
will.
people to come in here from prisons, jails,
I like
and
when he
mental
says he's what he's gonna
institutions
say.
to come into our country and destroy our country.
President Trump, we will get to immigration later in this block. President Biden, I
I'm
wanted
right
the opportunity
now,
to
like,
respond to this
politics
question about
aside,
national
Trump
debt.
just seems like he's just
He had the
going.
largest national debt
Yeah,
of any president.
he knows what he's doing right now.
He's just locked
Number
in.
two,
He's not
he's got
attacking
$2
too.
trillion
He's attacking,
tax
but
cut
not doing
benefit
his.
the very wealthy.
Yeah,
His
Yeah,
craziness
well,
that
he
he
looks
sometimes
like
does.
like a typical
we have
conservative
1,000
right now.
trillionaires
Yeah.
in America.
He's not doing
And
that
billionaires in
that
America.
populist.
And what's happening? We're in
Yeah,
a
we
situation
still have a lot of ball
Aggressive
left. Still a
attitude.
lot of ball
Pay
left, but so
8.2%
Oh,
far.
no, this is just
taxes.
beginning.
If they just paid 24%, 25%.
But
either one of
Biden's
those
gotta
numbers,
fucking wake
they'd
up if he
raise
wants to do
$500
anything.
million.
He's starting to go a little bit,
$1 billion, I
maybe.
should say, in a 10-year period. We'd be able
He
to
needs to
wipe
drink
out
some
his
water.
debt. We'd
Drink
be
some
able to
damn
help
water.
make
Give him
sure
an
that all
IV.
those things we need to do, child care, elder
Get him a
care,
Gatorade.
making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible
Oh,
for what
boy.
we've been able to do with the with the COVID.
Oh, boy.
Excuse me, with
Oh boy.
dealing with everything we have to do. With,
Oh boy.
Look,
Oh,
we finally beat.
Is he gonna
Medicare.
die?
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death. And
Trump
he's
just gave him the,
destroying
like, dude,
Medicare
are you all right kind of
because
look.
all of
Like,
these people are
oh
coming
my
in.
fucking
They're
God.
putting them on
Oh,
Medicare.
boy.
They're putting them on Social Security. They're going to destroy Social
My
Security.
heart
This
just
man
beat.
is going to
It just skipped a beat there for a second. I
destroy
thought he was
Social
literally gonna
Security.
die.
These millions and millions of people coming in. They're trying to put them on Social Security. He will wipe out Social Security. He will wipe out Medicare. So he was right in the way he finished that sentence. And it's a shame. What's happened to
He
our
didn't even
country
finish the
in
sentence.
the last 4 years is not to be believed. Foreign countries, I'm friends with a lot of people. They cannot believe what happened to the United States of America. We're no longer respected. They don't like us. We give them everything they want, and they think we're stupid. They think we're very stupid people. What we're doing for other
We are.
countries,
We were
and they
pretty
do
dumb.
nothing for us. What this man has done is absolutely criminal.
Thank you, President
Oh,
Trump.
why would he use
This
the
is
word
the
criminal?
first
Oh,
presidential
there's no.
election
He knows when to
in
use
which
it. He knows when to
Supreme
use
Court
it when
overturned
it
Roe v. Wade.
stops. The
This
question's
morning,
over.
the court
Nice,
ruled
good
on
tactics
yet
there. I
another
true up, I
abortion
guess.
case, temporarily allowing emergency
Because then Biden
abortions
can't
to
respond, being
continue
like, "You're the
in
real
Idaho,
criminal. You're literally a
despite
criminal."
that state's restrictive ban. Former President Trump,
Oh, here we
you
go.
take credit for the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, which
Oh,
returned the issue
big
of
loss for you,
abortion to the
Trump.
states.
Correct.
However,
Correct.
the
That
federal
was me.
government still plays a role in whether or not women have access to abortion pills. They're used in about 2/3 of all abortions. As president, would you block abortion medication?
First of all, the Supreme Court just approved the abortion pill, and I agree with their decision to have done that, and I will not block it. And if you look at this whole question that you're asking, complex but not really complex. 51 years ago, you had Roe v. Wade, and everybody wanted to get it back to the states. Everybody, without exception. Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives.
Biden didn't like that. He didn't
Everybody
like
wanted
that.
it back.
What?
Religious leaders. And what I did is I put 3 great Supreme Court justices on the court,
Fantastic.
and they happened to vote in favor of
They
killing
just so
Roe v. Wade
happen
and
to-
moving it back to the states. This is something that everybody
I didn't know.
wanted. Now, 10 years ago or so, they started talking about how many weeks and how many this, getting into other things. But every legal scholar throughout the world, the most respected, wanted it brought back to the states. I did that. Now the states are working it out. If you look at Ohio, it was a decision that was an end result that was a little bit more liberal than you would have thought.
He's kind of winning this answer,
Kansas,
even though I don't
would say
obviously
same.
agree with it.
Yeah,
Texas is
no, it's
different,
terrible,
Florida's
terrible.
different,
But he's
they're
cooking
all
right
making
now.
their own decisions right now. And right now, the states control it.
He's
That's
trying to
the
make
vote
it
of
like
the
it wasn't
people.
me, it was the
Like
states
Ronald Reagan, I
and
believe
the
in
Supreme Court.
Exceptions. I am a person that believes. And frankly,
He's trying to
I
get
think
the
it's
independent
important to
voters
believe in
right now.
exceptions. Some people, you have to follow your heart. Some
He's
people
trying to
don't
lighten the
believe in
blow
that.
of Roe v. Wade
But
being
I believe in
overturned.
the exceptions for
Yeah, which is
rape,
terrible.
incest, and the life of the mother. I think it's very important. Some people don't. Follow your heart, but
Follow your
heart.
yeah.
Follow your heart.
That's his
everybody.
official
You gotta
policy.
get elected. The problem
Follow
they
your
have is
heart.
they're
The
radical
Trump follow
because
your
they
heart
will
policy.
Oh my
take the life
God.
of a child in the 8th month, the 9th month, and even after birth. After birth, if you look at the former governor of Virginia, he was willing to do this. He said, we'll put the baby aside and we'll determine what we do with the baby, meaning we'll kill the baby.
What?
What happened is we brought it
Trump,
back
you
to the
could have cut
states,
it
and
off
the
before
country
going
is
on this
now
little.
coming together on this
Yeah,
issue.
now
It's
you're
been a
kind of going
great
off the
thing.
rails.
Now he's trying to get back the
President Biden.
conservatives. Yep.
It's been a terrible thing.
The evangelicals.
All right.
The fact is that
Biden,
the vast
please
majority
drink.
of constitutional scholars supported Roe when it was decided.
Usually they have water
Supported
on their desk, but maybe they don't.
That's this idea that they're
Or
all
their,
against it is just ridiculous.
podiums.
And this is the guy who says the state should be able to have it. We're in a state where in 6 weeks you don't even know whether you're pregnant or not, but you cannot see a doctor, and have him decide on what your circumstances are, whether you need help. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states. Let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant coming in. They talk about that, but here's the deal: there's a lot of young women are being raped by their in-laws, by their spouses, brothers and sisters.
Boy.
It's just ridiculous.
Dude, this
And
is
they can
rough,
do nothing
man.
about it.
I feel
and they try
bad.
to arrest them when they cross state lines.
Thank you.
Thank
There
you.
have been many young women murdered by the same people he allows to come across our border. We have a border that's the most dangerous place anywhere in the world, considered the most
What?
dangerous
Okay.
place anywhere in the world.
Right.
And he opened it up, and these killers are coming into our country, and they are raping and killing
Okay, Trump.
women.
Trump is going
And
back
it's a
to his
terrible
old
thing.
self.
As far as the
It's
abortion
going.
There's the
is now
fascism.
back with the states. The
Yeah.
states are voting. In many cases, it's
Dude,
frankly a
Biden
very
just
liberal
looks
decision.
lost,
In many
man.
cases, it's the opposite. But they're voting, and it's bringing it back to the vote of the
More
people.
dangerous
which
than the
is
bottom
what
of the ocean.
Everybody wanted, including the founders, if they knew about this issue, which frankly they didn't.
The
But
founders.
they would have. Everybody wanted brought back. Ronald Reagan wanted it brought back. He
Yeah,
wasn't
get
able
the
to
Reagan
get it.
boys.
Everybody
Yep.
wanted it brought back, and many presidents had tried to get it back. I was the one to do it. And again, this gives it the vote of the people, and that's where they wanted it. Every legal scholar wanted it that way.
Staying on the topic of abortion, President Biden, 7 states, I'll let you do that. This is the same topic. 7 states have no legal restrictions on how far into a pregnancy a woman can obtain an abortion. Do you support any legal limits on how late a woman should be able to terminate a pregnancy?
I supported Roe v. Wade, which
Yeah.
had 3 trimesters. The first time is between the woman and the doctor. Second
All right,
time
Biden,
is between
cook.
the doctor and an extreme situation.
Lock
The
in,
third
Biden.
time is between
Come on, you could do
the
it.
doctor. Between the woman and the state. The
There it
idea
is, there
that
it
the
is, he's getting back.
politicians- that the founders wanted the politicians to be the ones making decisions about women's health is ridiculous. That's the last. No politician should be making that decision. A doctor should be making those decisions. That's how it should be.
My
run.
wife,
Oh,
who's a
That's what
doctor,
you're
should be
gonna do.
making that
and
decision.
if I'm elected, I'm going to restore Roe v. Wade.
So that means he can
Oh, Trump's
take
making
the
the
life
kiss.
of the baby
He's mad
in
now.
the 9th month and even after birth, because some states, Democrat run, take it after birth. Again,
Biden
the
kills
governor,
babies.
Former governor of Virginia. Put the baby down, then we decide what
It's
to do.
so
so he's
crazy the way he
willing
talks
to,
about
as we
this.
say, rip the baby out of the womb. In
I like
the
how he
9th
says
month
baby.
and kill the baby.
Well, he's just
Nobody
so.
wants that to happen.
It's not.
Democrat
That's not
or
the
Republican.
case.
Nobody wants it
Of
to
course
happen.
it's not. They're
I
just
mean, the
fear
ninth
mongering.
month.
It's
Not
fear mongering.
true. that Roe v. Wade does not provide for that. That's not the circumstance.
Yes,
only
Biden,
woman's
come
life
on.
is in danger. She's going to die. That's the only circumstance in which that can happen. But we are not for late-term abortion, period. Period.
The Adderall's kicking
Roe
in
v.
now.
Wade, you have late-term abortion. You can do whatever you want, depending on the state. You can do whatever you want. We don't think that's a good thing. We think it's a radical thing. We think the Democrats are the radicals, not the Republicans.
Oh, boy.
51 years,
Oh, wow.
that was the law.
Zinger.
51
That's
years
lame for Trump.
constitutional
Boo.
scholarship said it
Yeah,
was the
that
right
was-
way to
that
go.
wasn't good.
51 years, and it was taken away because this guy.
We're not
put
crazy,
very
you're
conservative
crazy.
members on the Supreme Court.
Okay.
He takes credit for taking it away. What's he going to do? What's he going to do, in fact, if
When he
comes
for you,
MAGA
bad
Republicans,
boys.
he gets elected, and the MAGA Republicans control the Congress, and they pass
The
on
MAGA
universal
Republicans
ban
control the
on
Congress.
abortion,
See,
period,
he's now trying to
across
do the
board.
liberal
At
talking
6
point
weeks or
of, like,
7 or
if you
8
don't
or
vote
10
for
weeks,
Democrats,
something very,
Roe v.
very
Wade's going
conservative.
to be
Is he gonna sign
taken.
that
Wait,
bill? I'll veto
it's
it.
going to get
He'll
worse.
sign it.
Yeah.
As if it's already not
Turning
bad.
now to the issue of immigration and border security, President Biden, a record number of migrants.
Oh,
have
wow, the
illegally
muted mic
crossed
comes in
the southern
first.
border
They cut
on
off
your
Trump.
watch.
Straight up.
Overwhelming border states and overburdening cities such as New York and Chicago, and in some cases causing real safety and
That is not
security
8 feet
concerns.
apart. You're right.
Given that, why should voters
It's
trust
very
you
close.
to solve this crisis?
Because we worked very hard
All right,
to get
so
a
now we're on the
bipartisan
border now.
agreement that not only changed all of that, it made sure that we are in a situation where you had no circumstance where they could come across the border with the number of border police there are now. We significantly increased the number of
Yay, we
asylum
love
officers,
ICE,
significantly.
no matter what
By the way,
side you're
the Border
on.
Patrol endorsed me.
Yeah, these two are
endorsed
very
my
similar when
position.
it comes to this
In
shit.
addition to that, we find ourselves in a situation where when he was president, he was
Now they're
taking
trying to see who can
separating
claim that
babies
they did
from
better
their
on
mothers, putting
being
them in
more
cages,
fascist.
making sure they were-
Who put
and
more
the families
people
were
in
separated.
cages? Let's see.
That's not the right way to go. What I've done since I've changed the law, what's happened? I've changed it in a way that now you're in a situation where there are 40% fewer people coming across the border illegally. That's better than when he left office.
See?
So
He
they're
just
not.
did it
So
right
they.
there.
So they're
Until we
fucked
get
if they try to
total
come here.
ban
Basically, is what he's saying though.
Yeah.
The total initiative relative
We're letting
to what
less
we're gonna do
in.
with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't
Oh.
think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the safest border in the history of our country. The border,
Oh, boy.
There he is. There's
There's
he
Trump.
decided to open up our border, open up our country to people that are from prisons, people that are from
there's nothing you can
mental
do,
institutions,
right? Is
insane
Biden in that
asylums.
situation when he calls you
Terrorists.
out
We have
like
the
that? What are you
largest
gonna
number
do?
of terrorists coming into our country right now. All terrorists, all over the world, not just in
Move
South
on, move on,
America,
Biden.
all over the world. They come
Shrug it off.
from the
Yep.
Middle East.
Let 'em have it,
everywhere.
let 'em have
All
it.
over the world, they're pouring in. And this guy just left it open, and he didn't need
This guy
legislation.
left it open.
because I
It's
didn't
not
have
true.
legislation. I said close the border. We had the safest border in history. In that final couple of months of my presidency, we had, according to Border Patrol, who is great, and by the way, who endorsed me for president, but I won't say that, but they endorsed me for president.
I won't say that, but they
Brandon,
did.
just speak to him.
He says that all the
Look,
time.
we had the safest border in history. Now we have the worst border in history. There's never
Shout
been
out
anything
Border
like it,
Control.
and people are dying all over
BC.
the place, including the people that are coming
If
out.
anyone's
in
likes in the
carrots.
chat,
President
shout out.
Biden?
The only terrorist who's done anything crossing the border is one who came along and killed three, under his administration, killed an Al-Qaeda person come in
What?
his administration, kill three
Oh my
American
dude, he's
soldiers,
blocked.
killed
Like
three American
he just
soldiers.
isn't.
That's the only terrorist that's
Even
there.
if he has
I'm
the
not
right
saying that no
messaging,
terrorist
he's
ever got
can't
the
deliver
idea
it.
They're emptying their prisons. We're welcoming these people. That's simply not true. There's no data to support what he said.
He needs to slow
Once again,
down.
he's exaggerating. He's
Yeah,
lying.
he needs to slow down.
President Trump, staying on the topic of immigration, you've said that you're going to carry out, quote, the largest domestic deportation operation in American history, unquote. Does that mean that you will deport every undocumented immigrant in America,
Al-Qaeda,
including those who
yeah.
have jobs, including those
Al-Qaeda,
whose spouses
9/11,
are citizens,
Pearl Harbor.
and including those who have lived here for decades?
I
And
thought we were
if
talking about the
so,
border.
How will you do it?
Just 1 second. He said we killed 3 people.
What?
People we killed.
Come on, Trump, don't fall for the
al-Baghdadi
trap.
And Soleimani, the 2 greatest
Oh my
terrorists,
God,
biggest
he's so
terrorists anywhere
annoying.
in the world. And it had a huge impact on everything, not
Huge.
just border, on everything. He's the one that killed people with the bad water, including hundreds of thousands of people dying and also killing our citizens when they come in.
What is he-
We
I
are
don't know.
living right now in
He's
a
just
rat's
going
nest.
off
They're
about dumb
killing
shit
our
now.
people in New York, in California, in every
Oh, he's just saying,
state
like,
in the union.
he's
because we
doing a
don't have
dog
borders
whistle
anymore. Every
He's
state
doing
About
crime
gang
now,
now, right?
violence, yeah, gang
Yeah.
because of
violence
his
and whatever.
ridiculous, insane, and very stupid policies, People are coming in and they're killing our citizens.
See, but
at a
Trump
level that
should have
we've
just
never
shrugged
seen. We
off
call
that
it
that 3
Yeah,
people
he-
died.
yeah,
I
yeah.
call
He
it
should have just
migrant-
moved on, but
migrant
now
crime.
I think
They're
he's
killing
really
our
bad when it
citizens
comes to
at a
traps
level
like
we've
that.
never seen before, and you're reading it like these 3 incredible young girls over the last few days.
Here we
One of
go.
them,
I
just
told you.
spoke to the mother,
Told you.
And they just had the funeral for this girl, 12 years old. This is horrible what's taken place. What's taken place in our country, we're literally an uncivilized country now. He doesn't want it to be. He just doesn't know. He opened the borders. Nobody's ever seen anything like.
It's
and
so
we have to get a
he's
lot
so
of these
wrong
people
though.
out,
Like
and we
they
have to
both
get
have
them out
such
of that.
similar
borders,
policies.
yeah.
It's
Destroy our
insane.
country. Just take a look at where they're living. They're living in luxury hotels in New York City and other places. Our veterans.
Trump
are in the
Tower, have
street.
you heard
They're
of
dying
it?
Because he doesn't care about our veterans. He doesn't care. He doesn't like the military
Yeah,
at all.
New York City is just
And he doesn't care about our
crazy
veterans.
right
Nobody
now.
been worse. I had the highest approval rating for veterans taking care of the VA.
Okay,
He has the
now you're
worst.
talking
He's
about
gotten rid
veterans.
of all the things that I approved. Choice that I got through Congress. All of the different things I
Here,
approved.
now
They
Trump's starting to
abandoned.
come.
We had
He's
by far the
rambling.
highest,
He's
and now
rambling
it's
on.
down in less than half because he's done all these.
He was doing
great
better
things
when
that
he
we
was
did.
keeping it
And
simple.
I think he did it just because I
Yeah.
approved it, which is
He didn't
crazy.
like that he brought up
'Cause there's a
3
line-
people
People at our
killed.
border by
Thank you,
allowing
President Trump.
There's a
all these people
line.
to come
Yeah,
in.
he's
It's a
exhausting.
very
That's
sad
that's his
day.
issue sometimes. Is he
President
goes on too
Every
much.
single thing he says
He has
is
to
a
find
lie.
that when he finds
Every
that
single
line,
one.
he's
For example,
he
veterans are a hell of a lot better.
he
off.
does dances
Pass the
around.
pack.
Oh, wait. Just
1 million
Biden's
of
going
them
off.
now have insurance, and their families have it. Their families have it because what happened, whether it was Agent Orange or burn pits, they're all being covered now. And his group opposed that. We're also in a situation where we have great respect for veterans. My son spent a year in Iraq.
Oh my God! Don't bring up Bull Biden.
Burn pits, came back with stage 4 glioblastoma. I was recently in France for D-Day, and I spoke all about those heroes that died. I went to the World War I cemetery he refused to go to. He was standing with his 4-star general, and he told me, he said, I don't want to go in there because they're a bunch of losers and suckers.
Okay.
My son was not a loser, was not a sucker.
Oh, boy.
You're the sucker. You're the loser.
Oh,
First of all, that was a made-up quote, suckers and losers. They made it up. It was in a third-rate magazine that's failing, like many of these magazines.
Oh, God.
He made that up. He put it in commercials. We've notified him. We had 19 people that said I didn't say it. And think of this.
19.
Who would say I'm
That's
at a
very
cemetery
specific.
or I'm talking about our veterans? Because nobody's taken better care. I'm so glad this came up, and he brought it up. There's nobody
think you
that's
did,
taken
but
better
okay.
care of our soldiers than I have. To think that I would, in front of generals and others, say suckers and losers. We had
Biden
19
kinda
people
got really mad
that
there for a
said
second. Do
it
you
was
see
never
that? His
said by me.
lip was
It
like
was
about
made
to.
up by him, just like Russia.
turning into a
Russia,
zombie.
Russia was made up.
Yeah.
Just like the 51 intelligence agents are made up.
Okay, you're bringing
Just
up
like the new
2016
thing where
again.
the
No one
16
cares.
Economists are talking. It's the same thing. 51 intelligence agents said that the laptop was Russia disinformation. It wasn't. That came from his son Hunter.
Oh, yeah, who gives
It
a
wasn't
fuck
Russia
anymore, man?
disinformation.
I know,
He made
seriously,
up
you're
the
talking about
suckers
old
and
news, bro.
losers, So he should apologize to me right now.
4-star general standing to your side who was on your staff.
Yeah, you're right.
said
Trump
you
is taking
said
some of the debates.
Period. That's number one. And number two, the idea that I have to apologize to you for anything along the line. We've done more for veterans than any president has in American history. And they now are in their family. The only sacred
Trump's getting
obligation
mad,
we
bro.
have as a country
He looks
is
so
to care
bad.
for our veterans when they come home and their families and equip them when they go to war. That's what we're doing. That's what the VA is doing now. They're doing more for veterans than ever before in our history.
Literally let Hillary debate. Honestly, it might be.
Topic of
Can we
foreign
tap
policy.
in?
I want to begin with Russia's war against Ukraine, which is now in its 3rd year. Former President Trump, Russian President
Here we go,
Vladimir
foreign
Putin
policy.
says he'll only
Big,
end
big
this
thing right
war
now.
if Russia keeps the Ukrainian territory it has already claimed and Ukraine abandons
That's so
its
crazy
bid
for Putin to say
join
that.
NATO.
Bro, it hasn't really got much
Putin's
of
terms
Ukraine, if
acceptable
at
to you?
all.
First of all,
Yeah, barely.
our veterans and our soldiers
Dude, stop
can't
talking.
stand this guy. They can't stand him. They think he's the worst commander-in-chief, if that's what you call him, that we've ever had. They can't stand him. So let's get that straight. And they like me more than just about any of them.
Trump's going off
And
again.
that's based on
He's
every
going off
single
rails.
bit of information. As far as Russia
I kind of
and
agree,
Ukraine,
actually, with
if
Trump.
we
I
had
feel
a real
like
president,
military
a
people I
president that
know
knew-
don't
that was
think
respected
Trump
by
is
Putin,
bad
he
necessarily.
would have never invaded Ukraine.
I'm just talking more about
A
like
lot
the
of people are
baits.
dead right
Oh,
now,
yeah.
he's
much
taking.
more than people know. You know, they talk about
Yeah, Trump
numbers.
started
You
off
can
real
double those
good,
numbers,
and
maybe
now he's
triple those
kind of
numbers.
letting Biden kind
He
of
did
climb back
nothing to
into this a
stop it. In
little
fact,
bit.
I think he encouraged Russia from going in. I'll tell you what happened. He was so bad with Afghanistan. It was such
Yep,
a
Afghanistan.
horrible embarrassment, most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
I love how no matter what, it's always the most embarrassing of whatever.
He should have fired those generals, like I fired the one that you mentioned. And so he's got no love lost. But he should have fired those generals. No general.
This is
got
about
fired
Russia and
for the
Ukraine.
most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, Afghanistan, where we left billions of dollars of equipment behind. We lost 13 beautiful soldiers.
Yeah,
and
lots of military is
38
Republican in
soldiers
general.
were
Yeah, 100%.
obliterated. And by the way, we left people behind too. We left American citizens
Our
behind.
Russian
When
president,
Putin saw
our Russian
that, he
President
said,
Putin's demand
"You know
on
what?
ending the
I think
Russia-Ukraine
we're
war
gonna
reasonable."
maybe
We're
take
talking
my-
about that.
this
Why
is
are we
his
talking about
dream.
Afghanistan?
I talked to him about it. His dream. The difference
finally.
is he never would have invaded Ukraine. Never.
This is the
Just
line.
like
This is the
Israel
line.
would
Yep.
have never been invaded in a million years by Hamas. You know why? Because Iran was broke with me. I wouldn't let anybody
Oh my God,
do
I knew he
business
was gonna
with
bring
them.
this
They ran
up.
out of money. They were broke. They had no money for Hamas. They had no money for anything. No money for terror. That's why you had no terror at all during my administration.
Zero. Zip.
This place, the whole world is
Zero
blowing
terror.
up under him.
President Biden?
Never
Terra.
heard so much malarkey in my whole life.
Malarkey. Oh, there it is.
Situation where let's
Classic
take
I
it
told
first.
you. He's got to give
We got
something
it.
for the liberals.
Attacked American
We gotta
troops,
get it.
kill, cause brain damage for a number of these troops.
You have brain
And he
damage.
did nothing about it. Not when he was president. They attacked. He said they're just having headaches. That's all it is. He didn't do a thing when the attack took place, number one. Number two, we got over 100,000 Americans and others out of Afghanistan during that airlift. Number three, we found ourselves in a situation where if you take a look at what Trump did in Ukraine, this guy told Trump, do whatever you want, and do whatever you want. And that's exactly what Trump did to Putin, encourage him, do whatever you want. And he went in. And listen to what he said when he went in. He was going to take Kyiv in 5 days, remember? Because it's part of the old Soviet Union. That's what he wanted to
Remember when Russia took
Kyiv. And he, in fact, didn't do it at all. He wasn't able to
Russia
get it
just
done.
invaded though
And they've
part of
lost
Ukraine.
over-
Was it
they've
Kyiv?
lost
No, it wasn't
Crimea.
Kyiv. Crimea.
He took Crimea,
Under
yeah.
Obama.
Under Obama.
President Trump,
I
as
never
come back
said
to you
that.
for 1 minute, I just want to go back to my original question, which is, are Putin's terms acceptable to you? Keeping the
No, they're
territory
not
in Ukraine.
acceptable. No, they're not acceptable.
Okay.
But look,
All
this
right.
is a war
I'm
that never should have
curious.
started. If we had a leader in this war, he led everybody along. He's given $200 billion now or more to Ukraine. He's given $200 billion. That's a lot of money. I don't think there's ever been anything like it. Every time that Zelensky comes to this country, he walks away with $60 billion. He's the
I
greatest
kind of agree with
salesman
that
ever.
a little bit.
And I'm not knocking him.
Great.
I'm not knocking anything. I'm only saying the money that we're spending.
A lot
on
of
this
money.
war, and we shouldn't be spending.
A lot of money,
It should have
folks.
never happened. I will have that war settled between Putin and Zelensky.
I really want to know
as
how you're going to do
president-elect
that.
Before I take office on January 20th.
He's going to let him read Art of the
People
Deal.
being killed
Yeah.
so needlessly, so
Gonna
stupidly.
make a deal.
And I will get it settled, and I'll get it settled fast before I take office.
President
know-
Biden, you have a minute.
The fact is that Putin is a war criminal. He's killed.
Oh, do not. You
thousands
can't
and
talk
thousands
about
of
war
people.
crimes, my
And
dude.
he
Genocide
made one
Joe.
thing clear.
Come
He wants
on
to
now. I don't want to hear that word
reestablish
come out of your
part
mouth.
the Soviet Empire, not just a piece. He wants all of Ukraine. That's what he wants. And then you
Too
think
much
he'll
force
stop there?
spying, yeah.
Do you think he'll stop when if he takes Ukraine? What do you think happens to Poland? What do you think of Belarus? What do you think happens to those NATO countries? And so if you want a war, you ought to find out what he's going to do, because if in fact he does what he says and walks away, and by the way, all that money we give Ukraine are from weapons we make here in the United States. We give them the weapons, not the money at this point. And our NATO allies have produced as much funding for Ukraine as we have. That's why we're strong.
Thank you. Moving on to the Middle East. In
Oh,
October,
that was a quick
Hamas
topic.
attacked Israel. killing more than
Oh, here we
1,000
go.
people and taking
Here we go.
hundreds of
This is where
hostages.
Biden's gonna
Among
lose.
those held and thought to still be alive are 5
This is
Americans.
where my
Israel's
Well,
response
yeah,
has
Trump
killed
is- you're-
thousands of
you're
Palestinians and
unhinged.
created a
My
humanitarian
unhinged,
crisis
yeah.
in Gaza. President Biden,
Free Palestine.
you've put forward a proposal
I'm on the side
to
of
resolve
Palestine
this
now.
conflict, but so far Hamas has not released.
All right. I love
the remaining
Israel so
hostages,
much.
and is
Israel has a
continuing
right
its
to
military
defend herself.
offensive in Gaza.
Oh my God.
So what additional leverage will you use to get Hamas and Israel to end the war? You have 2 minutes.
Number one,
Easy answer here.
everyone from the United Nations Security
Oh my
Council
fucking God.
straight through to the G7 to the Israelis and Netanyahu himself have endorsed the plan I put forward. Endorsed the plan I put forward, which is
You
3
mean the one
stages
that
to it.
Hamas put
The first
forward?
stage
actually?
is trade the
Back in, like,
hostages
January?
for a ceasefire. Second phase is a ceasefire with additional conditions.
With no
The third
timeline on
phase
these
is
stages?
No, the end of the war. The only one who wants the war to continue is Hamas.
That's not
That's
true.
that is that is
What's
definitely
that?
not true.
Not
Still
true.
pushing hard
Not true.
to get them to accept. In the meantime, what's happened in Israel? We're finding that the only
Fuck
thing
this
I've
guy, man.
denied
This is where I
Israel
really fucking hate
was
him.
2,000-pound bombs. They don't work very well in populated areas. They kill a lot of innocent people. We're providing Israel with all the weapons they need and when they need them. And
Oh,
by the way,
great,
I'm the
'cause they're
guy
doing
that
such a good
organized
job.
the world against Iran when they had a full-blown intercontinental ballistic missile attack on Israel. No one
Because
was hurt.
Israel
No
attacked
one
an
Israeli
Iranian
was accidentally
freaking
killed, and
diplomatic
it
place.
stopped. We saved Israel. We are the biggest producer.
Israel started
of
that
support
shit.
for Israel
Trump's
of
shaking
anyone
his
in the
head.
world. And
Uh-oh.
so that's
Trump
the
might got
two
some.
He's
things.
Pro-Hamas.
Hamas cannot
Just-
be allowed
he's not
to
free
continue.
Palestine, he's
We continue to
pro-Hamas.
send our experts,
Oh my God.
Our intelligent people.
That'd be
as to how they
crazy.
can get Hamas like we did Bin Laden. You don't have to do it. And by the way, they've been.
Wait, did he
greatly
say he's gonna
weakened
eliminate Hamas
Greatly
like
weakened,
Bin
and
Laden?
They should be eliminated.
Yeah. So what?
But
What?
you've
20
got to
years
be
from now?
careful for what using certain weapons among population centers.
Just going back
That
to
was
Ukraine
awkward.
for 1 second. We have an ocean separating us. The European nations together have spent 100 billion or maybe more than that, less than
There's been
us.
some great faces tonight, David.
Why doesn't he call them and say, you got to put up your money like I did with NATO? I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. The Secretary General of NATO said Trump did the most incredible job I've ever seen. They wouldn't have any, they were going out of business. We were spending almost 100% of the money was paid by us. He didn't do that. He's getting all, you got to ask these people to put up the money. We're over $100 billion more spent, and it has a bigger impact on them because of location, because we have an ocean in between. You got to ask them. As far as Israel,
I like how he's
and-
using the
and
ocean as
Hamas,
like his.
Israel's the one that wants to go. He said the only one that wants to keep going is Hamas. Actually, Israel is the one. And you should let him go and let him finish the job. He doesn't want to do it. He's become like a Palestinian, but they don't like him because he's a very bad Palestinian. He's a weak one.
What?
President Biden,
What
you
is
have a
going
minute.
on?
I've never heard so much foolishness. This is a guy who wants to get out of NATO. You're going to stay
What
in
did
NATO?
he just say?
He's going to pull out of NATO.
I don't know what he actually just
idea
said.
we
I'm
have-
like,
We have to go
lies in our
back and
alliances as
see
well.
that. That was
It
crazy.
may be a big ocean, but we ever
Was he
able to
calling
avoid
Biden
war
a
in
Palestinian?
Europe, a
What?
major war
Yeah, I
in
heard
Europe?
that. What did he
What
say?
happens if, in fact, you have Putin continue to go into NATO? We have an Article 5 agreement. Attack on one is attack on all.
Which is a
You wanna
terrible-
start the nuclear war he keeps talking about. Go
Man,
ahead.
remember that in World War
Let
One?
Putin go in and control Ukraine.
Seriously.
And then move on to Poland and other places. See what happens then. He has no idea what the hell he's
Appeasement
talking
over
about.
here.
And by the way, I got 50 other nations around the world.
Trump wants to say
that support
something.
Ukraine,
He's
Oh,
itching.
including
he's
Japan
licking his
and
chops.
South Korea, because they understand that this kind of dislocation has a serious threat to the whole world peace. No major war in Europe has ever been able to be contained just to Europe.
President Trump, just to follow up, would you support the creation of an independent Palestinian state in order to achieve peace in
Please
the
say
region?
yes.
I'd have to see, but before we do that,
I
the
have to
problem
see.
we
He
have
I've
said.
looked into
is that
it.
we spend all the money. So they kill us on trade. I made great trade deals with the European nations because if you add them up, they're about the same size economically. Their economy is about the same size.
Everything
as
is
the
about
United
money
States.
between these two.
And they were
It's
no
crazy.
cars. No, they don't want anything.
don't care that
we
people
have,
are
but we're
dying or
supposed to
nothing
take
like
their
that.
Cars, their food, their everything, their agriculture. I changed that. But the big thing I changed is they don't want to pay. And the only reason
They don't wanna
that he
pay.
can play games with NATO is because I got them to put up hundreds of billions of dollars. I said, and he's right about this.
All right, he's
I
repeating
said,
himself
no,
now.
I'm not going to support NATO if you don't pay. They asked me that question. Would you guard us against Russia at a very secret meeting of the 28 states at that time, nations at that time?
Not so secret
And I
now.
said, no, if you don't pay, I won't do that. And you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in the next day and the next months.
Direct
Now
deposits.
we're in the same position. We're paying everybody's
Thank you.
bills.
Let's turn to the issue of democracy.
So you didn't answer the question.
Former President Trump, I want to
stupid.
ask you about January 6, 2021. After you rallied your supporters
January
that day,
6th, here we go.
some of them
Here we go.
stormed the Capitol to stop the constitutionally mandated counting of electoral votes.
I'm gonna
As
free
president,
everyone
you
from
swore an
prison that
oath
was
to,
part
quote,
of it.
Preserve, protect, and
Oh, yeah,
defend,
100%.
unquote, the Constitution. What do you say to voters who believe that you violated that oath through your actions and inaction on January 6th and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I don't think too many believe that. And let me tell you about January 6th.
There we go.
On January 6th, we had a great border. Nobody coming through. Very few.
What?
On January 6th, we were energy independent. On January
He's
6th,
just
we had the
avoiding
lowest taxes
answering
No,
the
hold on.
question.
Let him
We had
cook.
the
Hold
lowest
on.
regulations ever. On January 6th, we were respected all over the world. All over the world, we were respected. And then he comes in, and we're now laughed at. We're like a bunch of stupid people. What happened to the United States' reputation under this man's leadership
Oh, never
is
mind. I don't think he's
horrible,
cooking. Never mind.
including weaponization,
He's
which
just
I'm
going
sure at
off
some
about
point you'll
something
be
else.
talking about.
I thought he
where
was
goes
saying
after
on
his
January
political
6th we were
opponent 'cause he
fighting
can't beat 'em fair
to
and square.
maintain all that or something.
You have 80 seconds
But he
left.
kind of
My
said
question
that with
was,
like,
what do
oh,
you say
that's
to
the reason
those
why we did
voters
it,
who believe that you
basically.
violated
Yeah, he
your
could've said it better,
constitutional
though.
oath through your actions and inactions
Well, 'cause he has
on
to be
January 6,
careful.
2021, and worry that you'll do it again.
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker, they say, but she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor of, in writing, by the way,
I don't think that's true.
in writing, turned it down. The mayor of
10,000
DC.
soldiers.
They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what
You
was
told
happening.
them to
Everybody was saying
march
they're going to
on
be there on January 6th. They're
Pennsylvania
gonna be
Street.
there.
What are you
And I said,
talking
you know
about?
what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And I said, they ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her, and she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same
It's so
day she was.
it's awesome
It's
now.
so
You
bad.
can't be very happy
It's
with the
awesome we
daughter
could just
'cause it
make up
made her
shit
into a
now.
liar.
It's just
She
great.
said,
Like, you know what I mean? I
take
could be like, nah, dude, that's not what
responsibility
happened.
For January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged
All right, here we go.
those
Save
folks to
democracy.
Capitol Hill, number one.
I was
I
there
sat
on
in
January
the dining
6th
room
fighting
off the
him.
Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours watching.
True.
Begging, being begged
True.
by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop,
That's
to end it.
everything's true
Instead,
what
he
he's saying.
They talked about these people being patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. But he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases.
I think it was like
Scores of
60
cases,
something.
including the Supreme Court, and they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden.
Called him a
President Trump?
whiner.
Ooh,
What
big
they've done
words.
to some people that are so innocent.
What an insult.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people when they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down
Shout out Portland.
many other cities.
Rest in
you go
peace.
to Minnesota, Minneapolis.
I went to
what they've
Minnesota.
done
There's
there
nothing there. It's
with
true.
the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard,
Burn
that city
city.
would have been
The
destroyed.
Timberwolves don't even play there
When you
anymore,
look
man.
at all
It's
of
crazy.
They took over big chunks of
They took
Seattle. I
over.
was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard
Antifa
that. They
took
saw
them
them
over.
coming, and they left immediately.
They're all just big communes now.
What he said about this whole subject
Mad
is
Max out
so
there.
off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone now
damn.
out of office, and Democrats, all
Call 'em out.
Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go
It's so
to
easy
jail
to
for
lie,
that.
dude.
If a Republican did
crazy.
that, they'd go to
Thank
jail.
you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
It's funny he has to
The
say
only
President
person on
Trump,
the
President
stage
Biden.
is
I
a
keep forgetting that you're
convicted
president
felon
forever.
Yep.
right now.
Biden just said he's a
And the fact
convicted
of the matter
felon.
is, he isn't.
There it is.
What he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks.
I mean, they
turned
did
over
kill the
statues.
cops.
The idea that those people are patriots.
Yeah, what happened to
Come on. When I asked him the first two debates we had,
cops?
the debates we had
The cops
first
matter.
time around, I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The
I was
idea
there.
is
Remember that,
refusing
folks? The real ones were
will
here.
you denounce
that was a
these
good one.
guys?
That was a good
You
one.
denounce the people we're talking about now? You denounce the people who attacked
I called it back then. I'm like, that's a
What are
sketchy
you gonna
line.
do?
And some folks
I'm
laughed.
going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have.
No, let him
After
respond
a
to
jury
that.
convicted you of 34
God.
felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about
Here you go, Jarek.
members of the Select Committee on January
My
6th
boy.
going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again because right now it's a failing nation.
Come
My
on, coward,
retribution's
admit
going
it.
to be success.
Boo.
But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon
Yep,
at a
we
very high
know.
level. His son is convicted.
So
Gonna
are
be
you.
convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department
I don't
let
think he has
the
34
statute of
counts of-
limitations lapse on the most
No.
important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things
Yeah,
that he's
right.
done. He's done horrible things.
Oh, there you go.
All of the
Never mind,
death
he is
laws
saying
at
it.
The border.
We'll make up something
telling
that he
the
did.
Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son.
That's
This
quid
man
pro
is a
quo.
criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're
The
lucky.
Biden crime
I did nothing
family.
wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President
Yeah.
Trump. President Biden, you have said, I'm coming right to you, sir.
12 jurors.
Well, you want to respond?
It's all
Go ahead. I'll
rigged.
give you a minute to respond.
The idea
Oh, here we go.
that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie. Number
I love
one.
when Biden like
Number
looks right
two,
at him in the
the
eyes.
idea
And then
that
Trump
you
just
have a right to
doesn't look
seek
at him.
retribution against
He's
any
so
American
scared.
Just because
Come on,
you're
Trump, look at
president
him.
No,
is wrong.
he's mocking him, dude.
Simply wrong. No
He ain't
president's
scared.
ever
He's
spoken
mocking
like
him.
that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three.
We'll see.
Why does he do the number one, number two, number three? Like, I hate that.
How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman in public, for doing a whole range of things,
Go on,
having sex
Biden.
with a porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant? I mean, what are you talking about?
I don't know, Biden.
You have the morals of an alley cat.
Sounds pretty cool. Just
Dude,
kidding,
what did he
obviously.
say? You have a,
I didn't have
you have
sex
one
with
of a
a porn
nail
star,
alley cat?
Number one.
Yeah, but I'm
Number
actually
two,
surprised
that
it
was
took
a
him this
case that
long
was
to bring this
started
up, though.
And moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start
he should have
that
led
case.
with this.
That case is going to be appealed and won.
Honestly, this is
We had
the
a
most
very,
I've seen Biden
terrible
cook.
judge, a horrible
Entire debate.
judge, Democrat.
Yeah.
The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because
Not
he thought it was
true.
going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand them better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took
It's
in
true.
more money in the
Yeah, we
last
will,
2
Ethan.
weeks than we've ever taken in
That's
the
true.
history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam.
Which is stupid.
and
It's
a guy
crazy
that's after his
that
political
Biden, or
opponent
I'm sorry,
'cause he
Trump
can't
is making
win
this much
fair and
money.
square.
Thank you, President Trump.
Being
President
literally
Biden,
a
you have
felon.
To be
said,
fair, we don't know
quote,
how many
Donald
people
Trump and
are
his
not on
MAGA
Trump
Republicans
anymore
are determined
because
to
of the
destroy
conviction. I'm
That's
sure
true.
there is some
democracy.
people. Of course, there
Do
has
you
to be.
believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done,
Call him a
yes.
fascist.
the more
Call
they know
him a
about what
fucking
he's
fascist
doing.
Yeah, because
right
the
now.
people who are
There's a lot
voting
more
for him
coming.
don't
He's
know
got a lot of
anything about
cases
him.
down the road coming around.
Right.
He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do.
Biden,
but I
call
do-
him
I
a
do know he has
dictator.
real
Call him a
problem.
fascist.
And
Call
so
him.
the fact that, could you ever think you heard any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? Do you ever hear any presidents say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me
Oh,
involved
boy.
to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yeah,
People
here we
coming
go.
out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang.
That's some.
when
He
they-
made this
back
line in
in Germany.
2020.
Kanye quote?
They
Yeah, I
went
know.
and the young woman got killed. They spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people? The people the ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones he said." "I
You
think
also
they're
said
fine
you were going to
people on
run
both
for one
sides."
term, Biden, if I
What
remember correctly?
American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas?
You said this.
I do like his use of bile
This is the
here.
guy who says Hitler's
All right,
done
he's
some
going
good
in the
He
things.
said
thesaurus
this
here.
though in
You know what they
2020. He
are.
said this in
He thinks
2020.
Hitler's done. That's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out.
Not
because when
true.
you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on this. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question,
You gotta call
the worst
balls.
president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate.
The worst
about it.
one
There's
ever.
nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over
He
the
made
place.
up- okay.
Every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day, it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a
It did not.
nonsense story.
Nothing
He
came out
knows
the other
that,
day.
and he didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President
That
Biden.
was weak.
Debunked.
That was
It
weak.
happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought
I mean, he
there
did get
were good
elected,
people
though.
coming out of that,
Yeah, blame
that
Hillary.
forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking
But we've
about
seen
all this being
neo-Nazis
fabricated.
still.
We saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows.
Charlottesville
We
just
saw
got a lot
people
of
occupying
attention
their-
because they were
his
such
own
a
vice
big
president.
group of them.
Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet
And then obviously
officers
then the
refused to endorse him this time.
people got
His
killed.
vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
I don't like how they're not letting them respond.
They do a little bit, but they are following
Not
the
a lot.
rules though very strictly.
All right, let me mute this. All right, let me go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I guess I'll start.
This year, C-SPAN celebrates.
Who we think is winning this debate so far? At first, I was gonna say it was gonna be Trump, all day. I think Trump had a very strong start of just seeming competent. Yeah, he's saying a lot of things that no one likes, or at least we don't like, right? But at least his energy and like, he felt very like the first couple questions, he was very kind of like keeping it pretty strict with his responses. He wasn't like doing kind of his more old school Trump, I guess you could say, of, you know, going on and on and on, where he kind of bends that line of like, it's actually exhausting. 'Cause I think he knows when he can kind of push it, but shout out to Mondale there. So at first I feel like it was him, but then I feel like he's fallen for too many of the Biden traps, like we've kind of talked about here, where he just starts, he doesn't answer the question, he starts just rambling about something that Biden said, and I feel like if honestly, if Trump just stuck to what he was doing the first couple of questions, he'd be landsliding this debate right now, because Biden's had too many mumbles, has had too many like execution errors.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, he's definitely still winning this debate. I would agree, Bryn. But I feel like the gap has closed a little bit more. I don't know really what percentage I would say, but like, I feel like Trump had a really great start and it kind of built a big lead up, but then he kind of has let Biden kind of come back a little bit, because Biden had a couple really awfully answered questions because he just couldn't execute. what he was trying to say. So far, I feel like Biden's climbing back, but I still feel like this is Trump's to lose. We'll see what this kind of middle point will be, because I think there's 2 commercial breaks. This is the first one. That's how I feel personally.
Yeah.
Jarek's back. What do you think?
I pretty much agree. I mean, I think definitely Trump had a pretty good start. Like he was sounding more like a conservative, like super.
Yeah.
He was super mellow. He was just bringing up conservative points and all this stuff, and he wasn't really taking the bait. And I think Biden, ever since like he talked about like, oh, how there's 3 people that got killed at the border under your administration,
Look at
or something
Biden
like that.
back then, by the way. This is just 4 years ago. He somehow looks, I don't know. Even Trump really hasn't aged too much, but yeah, continue. Sorry, I just wanted to point that out to folks.
Yeah, I just think Biden again he's so freaking slow when it comes to like debating now. It's like it's almost sad to watch. Like I feel bad. It's just like he's trying to execute what he's trying to say, but it just comes out so bad, and it's just like what are you saying, dude?
I don't feel bad for him. I think
I feel bad in the way like this is what we're coming to. We're coming to this. Seriously. Like this is our Democratic candidate. That's the point. Like I wish we had someone that could actually take on Trump, dude, and just put him in his place. Like call him fucking fat, call him a fascist, call him like this stuff. Like you have to attack Trump personally. And I think Biden's still good at that, with baiting him into like these rampages that Trump was talking about. Like,
you both faced
like, oh,
in your
I'm the
first
best of the
terms,
border. Oh,
and
I
you'd
did
certainly face
NATO.
again
I did
in the
everything.
second term.
Me. You know, it's
President
like,
Biden,
yeah.
while
but
black unemployment
that's
dropped to
good
a
for
record
Biden,
low
I
under
think.
your
But when
presidency,
Trump is like
black
mellow and
families
shit,
still
it's a
earn
different
far
story.
less
All right, sorry,
than
let's
white
go.
families. Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate
So we're talking
of white
about
Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They
Black
acknowledge you made a lot
Americans.
of progress, number
Yeah.
one. The fact of the matter is there's more small black businesses that have been started.
Here's capitalism. Hey, we have businesses.
Wages of black
We'll
unemployment.
keep
is the lowest level it's
putting
been
you
Here
in
we go.
jail
in a long
though,
time.
but
Here we
Number
go with
three, we're trying to
the
provide
myth,
housing
systematic
for black
racism
Americans
that doesn't exist in
and
this
dealing
country.
with the segregation that exists among these corporations that collude.
I wonder if
to
one of
keep
these
people
candidates
out
will
of their
say
houses.
systematic racism.
In addition
he
to
might.
that,
I can
we
see him
find
saying
that
it, but then it's
the
all fucking.
impact on
It's classic.
We gotta pay the cops more.
choice.
It'll just be a liberal thing
black
of saying
families
we
have to
see you,
make
we hear you,
relative
kind
to
of thing.
childcare is incredibly difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half.
And you
We're gonna
had
make sure
how
we
many minutes you
provide for
had
child
to
care
drink
costs.
water?
We got to make sure, because when you provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know
He needs
it.
an IV, dude.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit.
That's fucking nothing, man. $10,000
$10,000
for a tax
I made sure that
credit
we're in a
is nothing when the
situation
houses are
where all
fucking
those black families and all black
$700,000.
individuals who provided
Exactly.
had to take out
Depending on where you
student
live.
loans that were ballooning. That if they
But he's talking about
engaged in
black
nursing,
voters. A lot of black
and
voters live in
anything
like
having to do with
high
volunteers,
expensive areas in
if they
cities.
paid their bills
Some of these
for 10
cities.
Yeah.
years on their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more.
The housing crisis is just an overall problem.
Thank you, President Trump.
And $10,000
And he
is
caused the
nothing.
inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's
It's
killing
more
black
of
families
corporations,
and Hispanic
but-
families and just
Capitalism,
about everybody.
but
It's
Yeah,
killing
I
people.
mean, it
They can't
happened after
buy
COVID. I don't
groceries
think it's
anymore. They
anyone's
can't-
fault.
You look at the cost of food, where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He
Chicago,
destroyed
Atlanta,
it with
Georgia
this
in
Green New
general.
Scam and
Yep.
all of the
That's
other-
what I'm saying. Is
all this
like
money
those are
that's
all.
being thrown out the window. He
Battleground
caused
states.
inflation. And
Well, I'm just
sure
saying
as
all
you're
the cities
sitting
are
there, the
expensive to
fact
live
is
in.
that his big kill on the black
Everywhere.
people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment. He decimated the economy.
All right,
Absolutely
Biden's
decimated the
getting mad.
economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs. We provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals who were in all communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they
I'll
had
give
health
that to Biden.
insurance. We have covered, the ACA has increased. I made sure that there are $8,000 per person in a family to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again, and they're going to try again if they win. You find ourselves in a position where the idea that we're not doing any, we put more police on the street than any administration.
Great.
Here we go.
And how is that a
Here we
W?
go.
Once again, how is that a W?
Providing for
What does this
equity-
have to do with black
equity and
voters?
Making sure people have a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation,
There's a
Like
lot
when we
going
talk
on,
about
man.
black voters, oh, we got to bring up cops. Why?
Feasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis.
Oh, God.
2023 was the hottest year in recorded history, and communities
You mean the
across
coldest year for the rest of
country
our
are confronting
lives.
the devastating effects of extreme heat.
Literally me.
intensifying
This is
wildfires,
literally me.
stronger
It's been
hurricanes,
fucking
Literally me
and
too, bro.
95
It's like 90
degrees.
degrees
President
here.
Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any
We gotta
action
put more
as
trees.
president to slow the climate crisis?
More
Let
shade.
me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him.
Yes.
Almost every
Here we go,
police
about the
group
police.
in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump.
Oh
Almost
my
every
God!
police
Shut
group.
up.
And what he's
Donald
done
J.
to the
Trump.
black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years
Talk
he
about
called them
climate
super
change. No
predators.
one
We
gives a
can't- in the
fuck about
1990s,
how
we
you
can't
support the
forget that.
cops.
Super predators was his name. And he
Bro,
called
we
it
heard
good,
this
and
in
they've taken great
2020.
offense at it, and now
Yes,
they see it
it's
happening.
the same shit.
Oh.
When they see what I
2016.
did
He
for
said this in
criminal justice
2016.
reform and for the historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a
Tim,
great
Big
job.
T.
Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea.
Tim
and it was a
Scott,
great
VP?
idea. It's one of the
Man,
most
vice
successful
president?
economic
Question mark?
development acts
That'd be-
ever in the country.
that'd be funny.
Opportunity zones. And
Awful
the biggest
pick, but it'd be funny.
beneficiary are
Is he
blacks,
gonna
and
fucking
that's
tell his
why
vice president?
We have the best
His vice
numbers
president
with
yet?
them
Like,
in
come on.
maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever the best numbers. He's lost.
That'd be crazy if
much
he
of the
said
black
like, "Oh, I got
population
Tim Scott
because
as
he's
my
done a
vice president
horrible
because we're
job
talking
for
about black people."
He's also
That'd
done
be
a horrible job
awful.
for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs. And it's
I
already
thought the millions of
started,
people
and
already
you haven't
came
seen
though.
anything
So
yet.
there's
It's
a more
disaster.
million?
You 38
There's a
seconds
lot.
left.
There's, like,
President
billions.
Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
No, there's no first lady
I
debate.
want absolutely immaculate
God.
clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it.
Clean
We
air.
had
VP debates are
H2O.
already
We had the best
shitty. I couldn't
numbers
imagine a first
ever.
lady debate.
And we were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything. And yet, during my 4
That's how it
years, I
works.
had the best environmental numbers ever.
No,
and my
okay.
top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on
think
the stage,
you, like,
actually.
I just
Went the
got it. They
opposite.
just
I don't
emailed
know where
me.
the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I passed the most extensive climate change legislation.
Which
in
is
history.
true, but it's awful.
history.
It's so awful
We
though.
find
It's
ourselves,
such a
by the
low
way,
bar.
Black colleges.
Not the Green New Deal.
I came up with $15 billion.
never was
for
on the Green New
HBCUs,
Deal.
Historic black universities.
the
and
Biden
colleges,
deal.
because they
Right.
don't have those. They don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just have the money. But now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech.
DEI.
We're in a situation where the idea that
We've gone
he is
woke.
claiming to
He's
have
gone
done
woke.
something that had the cleanest water, He hadn't done a damn thing for the environment.
Neither have you.
Bro, you and Obama haven't done anything about Flint, Michigan. You kind of just like ignore that.
Because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is
If I was
climate
Trump
change.
right now, I'd
And
bring
he
up
didn't
Flint,
do a damn thing
Michigan.
about
That's a
it. He wants
freaking
to do all the like
battleground state right now.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China
all about
nothing,
the
and
money.
Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a ripoff of the United States, and I ended it because I didn't want.
I love
to
how
waste
like
that
it's
money
just us
because they treat us
signing up
horribly.
for
We
this
were the
deal
only
is
ones
like
who was
seen
costing
as
us money. Nobody else was paying.
one,
to
it's
do
bad that we
and
got out of it, but also it wasn't even
disaster.
that anything that
But
crazy. It was
everything
more
that
of
he
just
said
a
just now, I'll
verbal
give you an example. I
thing
heard
being
him say
like,
before, insulin.
yeah, we care
I'm the
about
one that got the insulin down.
care about
for the
climate
seniors.
change.
I took care of the seniors. What he's
But
doing
why
is
is it bad
destroying
for
all of
putting
our
money
medical
into
programs
saving
because
the
migrants
fucking
coming in,
earth?
they want everybody. And look, I have the
But it
biggest
really
heart
wasn't
on
like
stage,
I mean it
guarantee
was, but it
that.
wasn't as
And I
big
want
as.
to take care of people.
It's a
But we're
start.
destroying our country. They're taking
But
over
I'm
our
just saying
schools,
it's so
our
shitty
hospitals,
that
and
the
they're gonna
bar
be
is
taking
so
over
low on
Social
environmental
Security. He is
issues.
destroying Social Security, Medicare,
But now he's
and
going
Climate
off about
change.
Social Security and what?
It's because he's trying to tie it in with
The
saying
idea
that
is
that's
that
how we'll have money for
we, in
Social
fact,
Security.
we
which,
were
whatever,
the only
is
ones
not
of
true.
consequence were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to, the United States can't get its pollution under control? One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution
By
in half.
2035,
We have made
only in
we've
half?
made
Dude, we're so
significant
fucked.
progress. And we're continuing to make
That's the
progress.
bar we're
We still
trying to
have a
hit?
climate code
Half?
for thousands of young people will learn how to
If
deal
it's
with
getting
just
1
like
degree
Peace
hotter almost
Corps.
every year
And
by
we're gonna-
2035,
we're moving in directions that
you're
are
talking
gonna
about
significantly change.
just
the
it's going to
elements
be
that cause of
fucking
pollution.
90 in
But the
fucking
idea
March.
that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned
I know it's
about
not 100% accurate, but you get
pollution
what I'm
and
trying to
about
say.
Climate. I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for.
What
One
does that have to do with
voluntarily.
climate?
I made sure every company in the
Now, but
world,
nope,
every
neither of them are
pharmaceutical
trying to
company
answer the question.
cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
They should get fucking
So every
zapped.
day,
They should wear
millions
shock
of
collars. And every
Americans
time they
struggle
try
just
to
make
talk about
ends
something
meet.
else,
For
they get
many
zapped.
older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security,
Now we're talking about
seniors
Social Security.
will
What-
see their
both
benefits
did
cut
awful
in
answers
just over 10
for climate
years.
change.
Will you name tonight one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now,
All right, we're waiting.
everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their
Been
income,
waiting.
of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time of the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're gonna, I've been proposing that everybody, they pay, the
Oh, God.
millionaires pay 1%, 1%. So no one I would not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee
To what?
the program for life.
1.1%? Wow.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you
I like
think
how they
that
keep
would
telling
be
me,
able
bro,
to
you
help
have
keep
more time.
Social Security
Yeah, I
solvent, or
noticed
is just-
that.
Is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent, but the biggest thing I'll do if we
It's like
defeat
they
this
give him
man,
more questions.
because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security.
My God,
He's wanting to
Democrats
cut
have been
Social Security
saying
and
this.
Medicare, both
No,
times.
both sides have been
And
saying
that's-
this
and
since
if you
like
look at the
1980
program put forward by
with Reagan.
the House Republican caucus.
I've watched
that
all the
he's
debates,
not
man.
Supports is in fact want to cut
It's
it
this
as well.
question and then
idea
the
that
national
we
debt
don't need to
are like the
protect our
two like
seniors is
guaranteed
ridiculous.
debate answers and questions.
And by the way,
Talking
American
points.
public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact,
I think it's
are
been a
part
little
of
bit
the
more than
ACA.
82 seconds.
And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where I talk about education for black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants by another $8,000. So anybody
They
making
are
under
talking
$70,000
all
a
over
year
the
could
board
be
right
able
now. It's
to
just
Yeah, they have to rein 'em in.
$15,000 toward their tuition.
I can't
It's just-
focus on what
he
they're
just
talking
doesn't know what
about.
he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
I don't know
So
what
I've
you're
dealt
talking
with
about.
politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years.
Have you?
I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen
You're
if he
talking
can
to the
look you in
choir.
face. So many other things too.
Oh my
We
God.
mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia.
Oh,
Russia,
my- who
Ukraine,
cares?
Ukraine.
I don't care.
Everything it does is a lie. It's
I do not care.
misinformation and disinformation.
Hunter Biden is actually cool.
The losers and suckers story that he made up is a
Talk
total
about
lie on
Social
the military.
Security, you
It's a
fucking
disgrace.
idiot.
But Social Security, he's destroying it.
here we go, here we
Because
go.
millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social
Oh,
Security.
blame the
they're
immigrants
putting them
again.
onto Medicare, Medicaid. They're putting them in our hospitals. They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to the VA, to our veterans, is unbelievable. Our veterans are living
I'm
in
bringing
the
up the
street,
veterans again.
and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and
Neither do
it's
you,
really
bro.
Coming back, I've never seen such anger in our country before.
You brought it, bro. You brought
The
it.
idea that veterans are not being taken care of. I told you before. And by the
Mom,
way,
I'm
when
glad
he
you're
said
keeping
suck on the
SNL
roses,
afloat.
he acknowledged after
I
he
think they're
fired
washed.
That general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he
I
said
can't believe we still have
Number
half a
one.
debate
Number
to go.
two, the idea
Bruh.
that we're going to be in a situation where
Why'd you just remind
all
me?
these millions and millions
Like, this
of
is just
people,
because we have one
illegal
commercial break.
aliens
There's
are
two of
coming
them,
into our
right?
country and taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the fastest growing economy in the world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're doing better than any other nation in the
You're
world.
kind of right, though. This
And by
debate
the
has
way,
not been
those
up to
15 Nobel laureates who talked
2020
about being
vibes.
phony,
It's
those
been very
15
weak.
Nobel laureates, economists, they all say
need to say something funny.
If Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession, and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst.
Who cares
president in
what
the history of the
presidential
United States.
scholars say, bro?
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care.
Bro, you're
159
both
random
worse.
people said that Trump was the worst. Cool.
Bro, Trump and Biden are in Herbert Hoover vibes right now. Please.
Herbert Hoover.
$11,000 a year per child. For many families, the cost of child care for 2 children is more than their rent.
True.
In your
Okay,
second
true.
term, What
Okay.
would you do to make child care more
I wonder what
affordable?
Make it
Trump's gonna
free.
say.
Make it free.
Just to go back,
Coward.
the general got
You,
fired.
see,
because
you're
he
not
was no
answering the
good.
questions. You're just
And if he
answering
said
what
that, that's why
Biden
he made
said.
it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and
Oh
they're
my
very highly
fucking
respected,
God,
much more so
dude.
than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire people.
See, this is why they need to
never fire
respond to
people.
each other,
I've
because
never
now they're
seen him
just
fire anybody. I did
responding
fire
when
a
they
lot. I
ask a
fired Comey
question.
because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put them there. I didn't
Bro,
put
who
Comey there.
like
He was no good.
an actual
I fired
genuine
him.
question people
This guy hasn't
have that
fired
everyday
anybody.
people
He
have
never fires.
for people
He
like
should have fired
my age
every
to like
military
40
man that was involved with that
who
Afghan,
maybe want to have
the
children
Afghanistan,
but probably
about the
won't
rental
because of
crisis? Most
childcare and they don't
embarrassing
talk
moment in the
he's
history of
talking
our
about
country.
what
Did
he
you
said
fire-
they
did you
said. I
fire
don't give a
anybody?
fuck.
Did you fire anybody that's on the border?
If I'm the average
that's
person, I
allowed
don't
us
give
to
a
have the
fuck
worst
about
border in the
this.
history of the world? Did anybody get
What
fired
will
for
you
allowing
do
18
to
million
make
people,
childcare
many
more
from prisons,
affordable?
Yeah, we
many
need Jerk
Do
on
I
this
have to
thing.
yell it?
mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed
Jerk
our
needs a
country to be
megaphone.
destroyed? Joe,
A
our
megaphone.
country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He's
Yeah,
the worst
because you can't
president.
answer a
He just said
fucking
about me
question.
because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out
Bro,
with
answer the
a nothing.
I can't believe he's not answering this.
And it
He's
reduced it
hurting
a
his
little bit,
debate right now.
A little bit. Like
I know,
this
he's
much.
being
It's
He
fucking
could have gave a
idiot.
half-ass
he
answer
wants
on
open
this and it
borders.
would have been
He
better.
wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up
But
those
why are the
people
moderators
as
not saying,
voters.
answer the question,
And
please?
I
He
don't
could have just
think
said the
we
economy
just can't
sucks
let it
and
happen.
therefore
If he
childcare
wins this election,
sucks.
our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's
This
how
is
bad
turning
it
into
is. He's
the
the worst in history by
This is like a
far.
fucking Trump
Thank you,
rally.
President Trump. President Biden?
We're the most admired country in the
That
world.
wa-
Oh
Oh my
the
God.
United States of America.
No.
There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have
Nothing?
The finest military
Okay.
in the history of the world.
This
The
debate is
finest in
getting
the
out of
history
hand
the
now.
world.
Okay,
no
Mom.
one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around.
Go
with
get
us. Nobody. Number one. Number two,
Moose
the
tracks.
idea that we're talking about.
Whatever
worst
happened to that ice
presidents.
cream?
I wasn't joking. Look it up. Go online. 159 or 58.
Is there a reason there's
don't
no
know an
crowd?
exact
It's because
number.
they don't like fun, and they think that these
Presidential
people,
historians, they've
these
had
two
meetings and they voted who was
old
the
men
worst
have something
president
new to
in
say.
history.
If I was in the
One
crowd
from
right now,
best
I'd
to
be
worst.
fucking
They said he
booing
was the worst in all
nonstop.
of American history.
I just be like,
That's a fact.
He hasn't answered it
You
either.
It's not conjecture.
They all
Why-
suck.
why
Why aren't the-
I mean,
Why aren't the moderators stepping in and be like, you're not answering the
doing
question?
anything to deal with childcare. He did
Bye,
very
Mom. Thanks for
virtually
tuning
nothing to childcare. We should significantly
Give me an
increase
ice
the
cream,
childcare
please. Stop
tax
by.
credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back
Biden
to
loves
work.
a vanilla
And
ice
we
cream,
should
by the way.
encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President
So his
Biden.
answer to make
President Trump, the
childcare more
question was
affordable
about
is to
what would
make
you do to make
better
childcare more affordable,
businesses?
if you want to take a
Ugh,
minute.
that's such a
Just so you
Reagan
understand,
answer.
We have polling. We have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so
Trump,
bad.
you're doing so
And they
bad
rate
right
me-
now.
I'll show you. I will show you. And they rate me one of the best. Okay. And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by 4 times.
But
He
how are you
wants
gonna
the
make
Trump tax
childcare
cuts to
affordable?
expire. So everybody, including the 2 of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of
The
this
2 of
before.
you.
All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing
Reaganomics,
money back
basically.
into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that
Worst
he's dead
president in
wrong
history
about-
by far.
He's increased the tariff.
Andrew
he will
Jackson,
increase
Herbert Hoover.
the taxes on middle-class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't.
Fucking
This tariff is
Woodrow
10%
Wilson.
tariffs. Everything coming into the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things.
Can
that we're
Biden
including.
open his eyes
Number
anymore?
2, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised, he's somehow helped the middle class. Middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years.
Yeah, so is
which is gonna
in your
fundamentally
administration as
bankrupt the
well.
country. You had the largest deficit of any president in American history, number 1.
Both don't
Number
give a
2,
shit. Come
you
on
have
now.
not, in fact,
This is getting
made
bad.
any contact, any progress with China. We are at the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you,
We were at the
President
highest.
Biden.
You lost
Thank you, President
$160,000.
Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority.
The only thing they're doing good at
post-Trump,
is
the opioid crisis. And
is
for both
cutting
of
them
you,
off, like
the
they are really
number
strict on the
of
time,
overdose deaths in
but
this
they're not
country
like
has gone
forcing
up.
them to
Under
answer the
your
question.
term, it went up. Under your
That's
term, it has
pissing me off,
gone
though.
up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year, primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now
More
in the
cops.
throes of
We
addiction
need more cops.
who are struggling to get the treatment
ICE,
they need?
cops.
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy.
See, he's still
We have the
finishing the
largest deficit
question
with
from
China.
last time.
He gets paid by China.
Bro,
He's a
they-
Manchurian candidate. He gets
I
money
know that
from
these
China.
moderators
We
have
something he's
earpieces that the
afraid to do with him,
producers
something.
can tell them
But,
shit. The
you know,
producers
he
need to
never
go
took
tell
out
them, be
my
like,
tariffs
you need
because we
to, you
bring
need
in so
to.
much money with the tariffs that I imposed on
We're
China.
losing
He
ratings.
never took them away. He
You
can't
need
because
to
it's too
reel
much
them in a
money.
little bit.
It's
It was at
tremendous, and we saved our
93,000, now it's
steel
at
industries, and there was
91,000
more to come, but
followers
he hasn't
watching
done that.
right now.
But he hasn't cut the
Shout out to
tariffs because he
opioids,
can't,
yeah.
because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country, and he's got the worst.
I thought Trump for
situation
sure
with
was just
China.
going to say it's
China's gonna
immigrants
own
bringing
us
the
if we keep
fentanyl in and
allowing
all
them
that.
to do what they're doing.
But he's
to
just
us as
talking
a
about
country.
himself,
They are
man.
killing us as a country, Joe, and
Nice
you
talking
can't
about
let that
China.
happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump,
He's just
you have
basically
67
going,
seconds left.
Biden,
The
you're
question
the
was,
destroyer
what
of
are you gonna
all
do
hold up.
for
They're
Americans
actually-
in the
they're-
throes of addiction right now who are struggling
They're
to get
telling
the
him the
treatment
question
they
again.
need.
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then
I mean,
we had to get
fentanyl's
tough.
pretty
and it was the
recent-ish,
drugs pouring
so I don't know.
across
What
the
do you mean
border
of all time? As if
were-
fentanyl's been a
it
thing
started
since
to increase. We got great
1400.
equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen. The way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low.
There were a lot of
numbers,
dogs.
Very, very low numbers.
They got the dog
And
in
he
'em.
Came along. The numbers. Have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is even low because the gotaways. They don't even talk about gotaways.
What?
The numbers of
They got away.
the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border. The worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs
You got to
coming
start
across our
telling
border now
numbers and
is the
facts. Like, you
largest we've
can't
ever
just
had by
say,
far.
President
That's
Trump,
how
thank you,
he's.
President Biden.
But it's always worked for him.
Fentanyl and the byproduct
have
fentanyl
it?
went
I don't
down
know. It's
Yeah.
not
for a
really.
while.
It has.
And I wanted to make sure we use them. Machines
Not in
that
2020.
can detect fentanyl. These big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers.
I like how their thing is
all
to
over
just
the border.
make
And
fentanyl
when we
machine
had
like
that deal
detecting
done,
machines
he
instead of
went and
like
called his
trying to help people
Republican
who are
colleagues and said, "Don't
currently
do
on
it.
fentanyl.
It's going to hurt me politically."
Like they're not.
No, he never argued.
They're
us
never
out of
talking
it.
about like
It's a
helping
really
the
good
people who
deal.
are on drugs.
We
It's
need
always
those
like their lost
machines.
cause. We need to
those
stop
machines.
more.
And we're
We
coming
need to
down
stop
very
drugs
hard
from
in every
coming in.
country in Asia. in
Both
terms
sides
of
do this.
precursors
They
for
always try to
fentanyl.
like.
That is the
Mexico's
question.
working with us to make
Struggling
sure
with
they don't have the
addiction.
technology
Yeah,
to
and now it's
put it
just like
together.
no, we just need to
That's
stop.
what we have to do. We
We need to
need
reduce
those
the fentanyl
machines.
coming in, which
Thank
is
you, President
one
Biden.
part of
How-
it.
Trumping
But
again.
like,
How you going to
Questions
deal with the
about
mental health crisis?
Americans in
Like,
the
that's a
throes of
good
addiction
question
right
right
now,
there.
struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, because this does pertain to it. He ended remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6
That's
billion
awful, Lieutenant.
for a hostage. Every time we say there's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter.
I do believe like we
I
need
think a good guy,
to create more
and
anti-cop
he's over
rhetoric
there
by
because Putin is laughing at
telling
this guy,
people how
probably
awful they
asking
are
for billions
towards
of dollars
animals.
For the reporter.
It's sad
I
that
will
people
have
care
him
more
out
about
very
animals
quickly.
sometimes.
As soon
I
as
mean, like
take
pets, I
office,
should say,
before I take office,
than
I said,
human beings.
By literally, as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter
We should
out.
care about both.
He should have had him out a long time ago. But Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where he paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you.
Ooh,
President
this should be a
Biden,
good one.
You would be 86 at the end of
Here
your
we go.
second
Yeah,
term.
bring age. Bring
How do
age.
you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world?
Can you follow that up with what
well
the
into
life
your 80s?
expectancy is in this country?
First of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate. And now
Who cares?
This guy's 3 years
Yeah, it
younger
means you've
and
been in the
all of us
game too
company.
long, dog.
I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look
Get
how I've
outta
turned
here.
around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in
Do people actually
enterprises that
listen
we
to
are
like the
growing.
numbers? Like
We-
this,
by the
you
way,
can just
we
say
brought an
whatever.
awful lot of people.
We created 5 billion jobs.
The whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented
It's not
those
even
chips.
5 billion.
Right, right.
people
I
in the
mean,
Because he
country.
was sending
Does it fucking
people
matter?
to find the cheapest jobs overseas and then bring home a product. So I went to
I like
South
when
Korea
Trump makes a face
and
like,
convinced
what the fuck
Samsung
is he
to
talking
invest
about?
billions of dollars here in the United States. And they're, guess what? Those fabs they call that to build
Oh,
these chips.
okay. I thought.
Those fabs pay over $100,000.
Okay, he said that word and
What
not
many
a different
college
word.
pay for them. And there's billions. about
Especially
$40
during
billion
Pride Month, I was
already
about to
being
say,
invested and
yo.
being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
I'm not the
Why
only
do
one,
they
right?
keep saying
The idea
that?
that
They keep
somehow
saying you have 40,
we
80
are
seconds,
a
60 seconds
failing
left.
country.
It's like for
I've heard a
Biden
president
only.
talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. Like, name me a
It's like
single
CNN
major
wants him to win.
country president
I
that
mean-
wouldn't trade places with the United States.
I
of
mean, come on,
America.
let's be honest.
All our problems and all our opportunities.
They need a
We're
shot
the most
clock
progressive
counter. I'm
country
telling
in
you
the world
on
at getting
the
things
screen.
done. We're the strongest country in the world.
Like in the
We're
NBA.
a country in the world who keeps
probably
our
can't
word,
see that far.
and everybody trusts
Meant for us, like
all
the
of our
audience. It should
allies,
be in like the top
and our-
right or something.
And our those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, he sends love letters to, and Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
They have a Discord
you.
together.
Former
They flirt
President
all
Trump, to
day.
follow up, you would be 82
Pitch
at
clock,
the end
yeah.
of your second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about
He's
your
going to attack Biden
capabilities
hard
to
right
serve?
here. Watch.
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, you know,
I've been working
we
out.
knock on wood wherever we may have wood.
Got a Bowflex
that I'm in
at
very
home.
good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior. 2 regular club championships.
Oh, okay. Yo, his golf game.
Quite smart.
His golf
Shot
game
the
is
ball a long way,
too good.
And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me
What
to a
are
golf
you
match.
talking
Yo,
about?
give me a golf. I'd rather watch that. Give us a
I'm in
golf
very good shape.
fucking
I feel that I'm
game
in
here.
good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago.
Come
Actually, I'm
on,
probably
dude.
a
You
little bit
can't say
lighter,
this in a
but I'm
presidential
in as good a
debate.
shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was
He's
willing to
he's
take
making a
the
more
cognitive
physical
test.
approach.
And you know what? If I didn't do
I
well,
like it. I
aced
like it.
Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor, and then
Ronnie
I took another one,
Jackson.
a similar one, and one of them said they've never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you.
I want
President
now. I want a
the
golf
dumbest
game.
thing I've ever heard.
He is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds.
Oh, Jarek.
Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's it. Anyway.
Jerry
Just
go
to go
Jarek.
with
He
what
basically
says
called
he
him
is,
fat.
I
You
think
wanted
so
it.
He is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. Kareem, I got my handicap, which when I was.
I bring up my
vice president,
CS:GO rank in
down to a
2015 if I was
6.
asked this. Yeah.
And
I'm not
by the
bad if you
way,
watch sake.
I told you before, I'm happy to play
Wait, it's
golf.
just
You can carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was at 8 handicap. 8.
We're really talking about golf? Are you kidding me?
You swing, I know you swing.
I know you're
let's-
swinging.
let's not act like
Fucking,
this.
let's go. Let's do golf.
not
Fuck
act
the
like
next debate. Let's do
This is
golf.
too
A
good.
specific
Let's do golf.
Oh my god.
that voters
Whoever
have
left
about
the
you.
debate and what
Will you pledge
you
tonight
missed the good one right
that
here.
once
That was
all
good.
legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins? And
No, you won't.
you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable.
Well, I shouldn't
Well,
have to say that, but of course
maybe.
I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In
No,
addition to the
no
speech
one
I
says
made
that.
in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively
Are you
small
talking
number
about the
of people
crowd
that
that
went to the
invaded the
Capitol.
Capitol
Yeah.
And in
building?
many
Yeah,
cases,
yeah,
they
I
were
mean,
ushered
come
in
on,
by
you're
the
so
police.
stupid.
And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not
No,
mine.
Trump
She
fell
said
on
that
like a
loud and
ramp,
clear.
like an on-ramp, but
the
I don't think it
answer
was Air Force
if
One.
the election is fair, free, and
He
I
couldn't
want
go
that
down
more
the
than
ramp.
anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under
Mar-a-Lago.
indictment because I wouldn't have been his political
We could have had
oppo-
golf
you know,
together.
opponent because he indicted me.
Yes,
because I was his
yes.
opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind
I
being
did
here.
everything
the only
right.
reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation.
F
And we're a
minus.
failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane.
Insane.
These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're
Yeah,
closer to
yeah.
World War III than anybody can imagine.
I got another one
we
on
are
the bingo
very,
chart.
very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of
Ah,
China, Kim Jong-un
I
of
put
North
that on the
Korea,
maybe.
all of
Wow,
these-
I'm getting a lot of
Putin,
maybes
they don't
today.
respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this
Yeah, Jarek's
gentleman,
crushing it,
and
actually.
he's
I think
gonna
he should
drive
be
us
in
into
charge.
World War III.
War of the Worlds, let's
World
go.
War III. Let him follow and win, and let Putin say, "Do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want." There's a thing called Article 5.
There it is.
An attack on one
Yes.
is attack on all, and required response.
Sake.
The idea. I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people.
Yeah,
They're
that's
capable
right.
of anything.
Well, why don't you
Step
listen to
up
the
when
American
needed.
people and do a
right
fucking
now,
ceasefire,
we're
you war
needed.
criminal?
We're needed to protect the world because of our own safety is
Goddamn.
at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv. Make sure they.
How about
move
Israel?
on,
That
see
might
what happens
actually
with
invade,
Poland, Hungary, and
fucking
other places
Lebanon
along
next.
That border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if
You're
I
not
might,
answering the question.
Russia.
Russia.
They took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden.
True, true.
They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. Not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along.
We
with
actually
him
we
very well,
actually
but
almost
not
got
to play
land. We
games.
almost bought
He took
Greenland.
nothing from me.
I'm pretty sure there was still like
Now he's going to take the
concerns
whole
that
thing.
Oh
Russia was
yeah,
gonna
I mean
invade
there's
Ukraine.
always been.
Right here.
There's always been.
That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine.
Yeah, I'm killing it with the
And,
Russian
you
Ukraine
asked me a
right now.
question before. Would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, "I will."
But
never
neither is
settle
Russia,
until
though.
such time."
It's been
They're
kind of
running out
just
of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so
stalemate.
many people. It's so sad. They've lost
At least
so
that's what
many
I last
people, and
seen.
they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years
I
old.
love gold.
All because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election?
Right.
Regardless
We're not
of
talking
who
about
wins?
Russia.
Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and
Oh,
legal
there's
and
always-
good election, absolutely.
Yeah,
I would
same
have
thing you
much
said.
rather accepted these, but the
mail-in
fraud
ballot,
and
the mail-in
everything else
voting.
was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely. There's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again. I wasn't really going to run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's
That's not
destroying
true.
our
You were
Oh,
country.
come
definitely
on.
gonna
I'd be
fucking
Very
run.
happy
You were
to be
definitely gonna run
someplace else in a
regardless.
nice
As soon as
location
you lost,
someplace.
you were like, "Yep,
And again,
I'm gonna
no
come back."
indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see.
Let's vote tomorrow. Fuck it. Let's vote tomorrow, baby. Fuck it. Who cares? Tomorrow, everyone, not go to work. We'll all vote.
Not one
Get rid of this.
single
Get
court
this
in
shit
America
over with.
said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke.
He should have said here, and most of them were
About somehow there's all this misrepresentation.
most of them were
all
like,
this stealing. There's no
Republican,
evidence of that at all. And I tell you
what you call it,
I know
lawyers
you'll accept
and
it because
judges.
You're such a whiner.
He should have
Yeah,
led
you
with
called him a
that.
whiner again. He
You
called him a
accept
whiner.
anything, You can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you.
You're a baby. You poo-poo
We'll be
diaper.
right back with more
All right.
on the CNN presidential debate.
All right,
live
bathroom break
from
again.
Georgia.
All right. Fists are flying a little bit more now towards that end half. The beginning of the restart was a little slow for me, but we're getting back going. I think, man, I kind of still feel like it's Trump right now. I don't know if Biden's gained ground, but he hasn't lost any, really, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an interesting final kind of half here. The third period. You know, this will be our second intermission here. That's kind of how I'm feeling. Who do you think is winning? Yeah, I think Trump going into this second part here was winning. He started with a big lead, but kind of I think let Biden kind of get back into it. And now I feel like they kind of stalemated that second half here. So I feel like by default, then that would mean that to me, like Trump is still winning this. I think Biden's doing a lot better than how he started, though, for sure. He's still having his moments, but it wasn't as bad as a couple of those questions where he really just the drugs haven't kicked in yet or whatever, or he wasn't locking in. We'll see what the second half. I think there's a chance Biden could win this debate if he has a great. I shouldn't say second half. This last half here.
All right, I'm back.
If Trump, what he does in the beginning, I think he's back.
So, I think I don't like how they don't have enough religious freedom when it comes to basically talking from side to side. Like they won't answer any of the questions that they're asking them. And they're just responding on what Biden said or what Trump said. Like they're not fucking focusing on the question. And that's why you should
That's on the moderators too. That's not
that's on the moderator. But now they're doing these strict rules where it's like, I'm gonna ask a question, but now they're just talking about
They did the last couple questions. They did try to for that Trump there. They did try to tell him no. The question is so they need to do
But
more
even
of that.
Biden,
But I think
too.
they need to cut him off. I think they need to be more. Don't wait for him to finish. I think as soon as they start talking about something else, be like, nope, answer the question. I think Jarek meant not religious freedom. I think he just meant like generally like the freedom to letting them have too much freedom with not answering the question. I think is what he meant.
Religious freedom.
Look at Obama, man, so inspirational. I know he just had to be there.
But honestly, I honestly Trump is kind of slipping back to his old ways in 2020. He was off to a good start, but now I think it's just more of a it's more of a stalemate right now. I don't really think
campaign 2024
anyone's winning.
coverage of the Republican National Convention.
I don't think anyone won the
July
second
15th.
chunk there, but I think Trump won the first chunk.
Beginning August 19th.
So I think whoever wins this third chunk
C-SPAN,
will
your
kind of just
unfiltered
determine who wins this
view of the
debate.
conventions, powered by cable.
I still think it's Trump's to lose, but Biden's looking a lot better, so maybe there's a chance Trump flounders a little bit and then Biden
I don't know.
continues to
I don't know how
rise.
many-
Once
I don't know how
again,
many
waiting for
questions
the
they have
CNN
left. I don't know if it's
presidential
closing
debate
statements
between
now
President
or
Biden
what.
and former President Trump to resume. A reminder that we will get your reaction to what you've seen and heard tonight as soon as the debate is over.
Yeah,
Our
Jarek,
live
you should call in
simulcast
because C-SPAN
continues
has
from
the call
Atlanta
in. You should call in.
just a moment.
Tell them they all suck.
It is now time for the
I wonder what
candidates
they
to
do
deliver
during the
their
break.
closing statements as
Probably redo their
predetermined
makeup and
by a
shit.
coin toss. We're going to begin
I bet
with
they
you,
like talk
President
Oh, is this
shit to each
it?
other.
Biden. You have 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, closing
That's it?
statements. So then Ryan, this is it.
We've
Don't
made
talk for.
significant
I want to hear the whole
progress
thing here.
From the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience or anyone out watching this debate, do you think the tax system is fair? The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit, number one. He's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credit people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President
That's
Trump,
bad.
you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. all of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President
Wow.
Trump, President Biden.
GG.
Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett.
Oh,
starts
they meant they
now
do.
on
I meant
CNN.
the way they worded it was like they have to sit there and listen to it.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
All right, so they're done.
Why did they just? They like muted, but they're just
Oh.
standing there.
All right, wrap it up. What the hell? That was a weird.
That was
Okay,
That was really awkward.
looks like Biden and CNN both dropped the ball there at the end. What the hell's going on? I mean, maybe it's C-SPAN's end, to be fair.
And that's a wrap. The first
Oh.
presidential debate of the 2024 election cycle is in the books. President Biden and former President Trump
Who's
addressing
Trump's
several
vice
issues
presidential
tonight with
debate?
moderators
Or vice
Jake
presidential
Tapper,
See, you
Dan
can't
whatever.
fall for those
the
tweets, Garrett.
economy,
I'm telling you, it ain't real.
immigration, foreign policy, and abortion.
But he's got to
among
say it
others.
eventually.
C-SPAN's coverage continues tonight of the first
All right, I'm gonna
presidential debate.
mute this for now. Yeah, the end was awkward as fuck. I'll go first, Eric, and then you can kind of say your thoughts while I have mine top of mind. That ending right there is, so apologies, I forgot that it's, or at least maybe we misread earlier of that it's actually the closing statements here. But if this was like a baseball game, I know classic Devin doing a sports analogy here, but if this was a baseball game, Trump got to an early lead. It's like 4-0 in the top of the first. And then Biden maybe got a run or two. Maybe Trump got a couple more runs. And it's like, let's say 6-2 at the bottom of the ninth here. And Trump brought in the close for the closing statement. He brought in his closer, and Biden had his top 3 hitters. And what is the crowd's on his side. He has some momentum. And what does Biden do? All his batters just strike out, and the closer does his thing. That's how it felt. It just felt like Biden went up there, and he started off strong. His closing statement was doing pretty good, but then he started mumbling and jumbling. And I'm never going to say that I could do what he does, by the way, but from what we've seen Biden do in the past, let's say like even 4 years ago, it wasn't this bad. That just shows me an old man, is what that shows me. And if I'm an average American who probably never really pays attention to politics, or maybe this is your first election that you're paying attention in, and if I had to just look at those 2 closing statements, and you're voting on just who seems more, I don't know, competent, in the sense of, not saying once again, I should always preface, I don't agree with anything that Trump says, but Trump just did his thing and Biden just was stumbling, like who are you going to probably pick? If you're an average person, this is their first election, he doesn't pay attention much, and you see these 2 individuals, like just on that alone, Trump wins all day. But I think Trump started off strong. Biden kind of climbed back a little bit towards the end of that first chunk there. And then that second chunk, I feel like was kind of a stalemate between the 2. Maybe a little bit leaning towards Biden. But in the closing statements, it was Trump all day. If Biden did stumble, I think it would have been fine. I think it would have been like what 2020 was, which I feel like Biden won those debates. I feel like Trump tried too hard in those debates at the time of trying to, speak to his base and galvanize his base. And I think it just pissed off more Americans at the time. But obviously that was a time when more people are watching these debates just because of COVID and so much uncertainty. I feel like this one, Biden's old age showed 110% in this multiple times. You got to be embarrassed watching this, I think, if you're a Democrat voter. Like, you have to be like blue MAGA. Like I said, you have to have fucking blue tinted sunglasses on to think that this guy is the best option for your party. I fucking hate Democrats, but they don't do, like, if I'm a Democrat voter, like, how does this give you any sort of like, hell yeah. That's why I've said this before. Debates don't have to be always for the undecided voter, because I don't know how many of those people exist all the time. Maybe there is more in this election than in 2020. I feel like people made up their mind in 2020 because of COVID. But for this, it just, to me, it's like your goal is to probably galvanize your base. Biden's doing really bad approval rating. This is your way to reduce that number. Get your donors to donate to you. Get your average Joe to go knock on some doors, right? Biden isn't doing that here. At least if I'm giving him benefit of the doubt, right? Like he isn't doing anything here. Also, he doesn't talk about Palestine enough in this, which is that's the whole Democrat strategy, is just trying to pretend that shit's not happening. And then if you're Trump, I feel like he kind of just did your average Trump. I don't think he did amazing, but I think he just, for the most part, when he did well, which was when he kind of just said his thing, he still had his Trumpisms, but he kind of reeled them in at the beginning there, and he did let it loose too much. If you're, maybe a Republican fan, I guess. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's this debate, I guess if I had to rank all these debates in total from all the other ones we've watched, this one isn't up there for me. It had some boring parts, but at least it ended quicker than I thought it would. And I do miss the crowd. I think that's my biggest thing. I miss the crowd booing and hissing and all that shit. Jarek, what are your thoughts?
Well, actually, Robert Kennedy is actually doing his own debate on X right now.
Like
as
a video?
Stream.
Oh, hold on.
Like a live
Let me see if I can find that while you're.
It's on his channel.
Okay, I'll look for it while you're.
It's still live, so I don't know. It started at 5:45.
Yeah, but if you want to share your thoughts, I'll try to find it.
I really got nothing to say about this. Like, I mean, it was just I was expecting more. This was kind of a weak debate, and I think honestly,
you're expecting more. We said in the beginning we thought it was to be boring. Would you say that?
I did say that, but I was expecting more when it got started. But I already knew Biden was going to come out like a fucking old man. So, I mean, that's not shocker at all. But yeah, Trump definitely started the debate really good. And then he kind of just got back to his old ways and just started rambling on about nonsense. And basically the moderators, I think, could have done a better job on organizing this. And basically it wasn't a good debate. It wasn't a good debate. And I didn't really like some of the questions either. Like, it was just they're kind of boring to me. But I don't know. Maybe the next debate will be better. But I don't know. I think Trump won it, I guess, if I had to say. But I mean, there's really no winning in this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Americans lost. Hold on, I'm trying to get why isn't the audio bar working? What the hell? Yo, Twitter's. I'm trying to watch your debate. So basically, he's pretending he's there. That's awesome. That's really cool. I guess that's like we're there, We're doing the same thing.
This shouldn't be a
I
debate.
think you have too many ads
He's
open
the worst
right now.
president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country.
I hate how he's turning to
destroyed
like
our
make it
country.
seem like he's
now,
there.
All of a sudden, he's trying to get a little tough on the border.
It's so funny.
Came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Like
they have a
this
TV
much.
there.
It's
Okay, I thought.
Insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people
Let's
as voters.
We'll get one RFK.
I don't think we just can't let it
RFK
happen. If
thing
he
here.
wins this election,
And just to pretend
our
that
country
he
doesn't have a
had all
chance,
the
not
he
even
was
a
here the entire
chance
time.
of coming out of this rut.
His voice is one of
Probably
like
won't
my
have a
least
country
favorite
left
voices on this
anymore.
planet.
That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
I wish he was there, but I also
President
don't
Biden.
wish he
We're
was
the
there.
most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history of the world. No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one.
This is so
Number
stupid.
two, the idea.
It's
Why are they
looks
doing this?
pretty
worst
legit.
presidents.
It's crazy.
was
I
in
know.
Germany.
If you're just a
Look it
quick
up, go
person seeing
online.
this, you'd think he was there.
159 or 58, don't hold me the exact number, presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who was the worst president in American
It was in
history.
LA.
One through
Shout
best
out.
to worst.
Shout to
They said
LA.
He was the worst in all
Go
of
Dodgers.
American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue the wrong.
So do they
but that's what
pause
they
it and let
voted.
him speak
The
is what they're
idea
probably
that
doing?
doing anything to deal with child care. He did for virtually
I
nothing.
still like
for
how he's
childcare.
like making.
We should significantly increase the
I know he.
child care tax
This has
credit.
3.9
We
million
should
views, by the
significantly
way.
increase the
He's doing
availability
numbers.
Of women and men.
4
It was
million.
more than
Single
it was
parents
more
to
than the
be able to go back to
presidential
work.
debate.
And we
No,
should
it
encourage
wasn't.
businesses to hold.
It was.
to
It
have-
was.
Thank you.
But
more
there's how many
honest.
people
President
watching the
Trump
TV.
has
This is
about
probably
what
the
would you
only
do to make
place you
childcare
could
more affordable if you want to take your minute.
you can watch
Just so you
this.
understand. We have
What if he was
polls,
just
we have
watching?
other
Yeah, that'd be
things
awesome.
that they rate
Is
him
he
the
gonna
worst,
speak or
because
what?
what he's done is so
I think
bad.
they're waiting for him
And
to
they rate
finish.
me- I'll show you. I will show you. And they rate me one of the best. Okay, and if I'm given another
TheRealDebate.com.
4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes by
This is
4
kinda
times. He
weird.
wants the Trump tax
We
cuts
shoulda
to
watched this one.
expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of
Well,
this
his is
before.
still going
All
on, so
my
his
life,
is
I grow up
obviously
and I see
delayed.
politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president
All right,
in
that
history by
brainworm-
far,
that brainworm's
and
starting to
everybody knows
cook.
it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is,
Bro
that
wants
he's
to
dead
let him
wrong
speak. What
about-
the hell's
he's
going-
increased the-
How long
he's
is that?
increased
It's like a weird watch along.
the taxes on middle class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariff.
Silent treatment,
Everything
yeah,
coming
maybe
in
it's
the
a
country,
strat.
You know what the economists say? That's
It
going to
doesn't
cost the
say
average
anything.
American $2,500 a year more because they're going to have to pay the difference in food and all the things that were imported. Number two, he's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised.
I think RFK's falling asleep,
He
actually.
somehow helped the middle class.
This is what it would be like if he was
Middle class
actually
have
at
been
the debate.
devastated. Now you want a new
He
tax
hasn't
cut of
said anything
$5
since we
trillion
watched.
over the next 10 years.
Oh, there's
which
people
is gonna
here. This
fundamentally
one has a
bankrupt
crowd.
The country. You had
That's
the
even
largest
worse.
deficit of any president in
But the
American
thing is, they
history.
can't respond to
Number one.
him, though.
Number
So how
two,
is this a
you
debate?
have not,
This
in
is just a
fact,
watch along.
Made any contact,
This is what we're
any-
doing.
any progress
We could have done
with
this.
China. We are the
We've
lowest
talked more
trade
than him
deficit
right
with
now.
China since 2010.
Thank you,
We're at the
President Biden.
highest.
Back
20
to
minutes
the
later.
original question. CNN
Oh, they
has somehow
finally
found
paused
a
it.
child care crisis in America. Somehow Americans raised children for years. Now there's a crisis because it costs too much. Is
I'm
that
not on
something
Twitter, so I might have
government
to
did
watch
or
it on
can
stream.
fix?
Well, the reason there's a crisis is because the economy with the middle class is gone. So
Don't you
in
wish
order
you was
to
there?
pay for a home, you need 2 jobs or 3 jobs. So oftentimes I'm running into people who have 4 jobs between the couples. A couple it used to be when you and I were growing up, mom stayed at home or a parent stayed at home and took care of the kids. That doesn't happen anymore now. Both parents.
It's like if you
work
dropped one of
under
those like
that
kid
home,
toys
need to
that
be
talks
working.
back
So
to
we
you
do have
into a
child care
fucking
crisis
aquarium.
in
That's
this
what he
country.
sounds like.
And it's because of the destruction that both these men contributed to.
Anyone who makes fun of
American middle
Biden
class,
for how he
and neither of
speaks
them is
should be
offering
roasting him more, in my
any way
opinion.
to
I'd
restore
watch
the middle
Biden
class.
100 times
Childcare
before
for Black
I'd
Americans,
watch him do a
John,
debate.
is 37% of income,
It's so bad.
a single child. Oh, and nobody can afford that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to wind down, I'm going to balance our budget, which is what President Trump promised to do, but I'm actually going to do it because why? Because it's existential. If we don't have the courage to do that, no matter what the cuts are,
And it's so
we
funny.
have
I've
to
had
do
people
that,
come in
or
this
we
chat
are
and other
gonna cease
streams
to
and say
exist
like, you should just vote for RFK
as
if you
an
don't like the
influential
other two.
nation.
And it's like RFK is just Biden.
But we cannot cut our way out of this debt. We have to build new industry. We have to build GDP. And one of the most efficient ways of building GDP is through child care, through guaranteed child care. There's a 22 times return on investment. As I said, every $1 million we spend on military weapons, creates 2 jobs. Every $1 million we spend on child care creates 22 jobs. And we need to grow our way out of this budget death spiral. And one of the ways we're going to do that is by providing child care, by taking away $500 billion.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
back to the CNN debate.
His case, even if he had good policies, a lot of people don't like Biden because of his age and his risk of dying, right? Or it's like, or he's just not in touch. You know, I mean, people should have the same concerns with him with how he's sound. It does sound like he might have a heart attack or something. It just, and then you have Trump, who's also just as old. But yeah, we didn't get no VP tonight. Speaking of old and people potentially dying,
talking to Tim Scott right now on C-SPAN.
Are they? Good old Tim Scott, VP potentially. Yeah, I don't think Trump will announce VP until next month because July is the Republican convention. So I think we'll know for sure by then. And then the Democratic convention's in August, but that probably doesn't matter.
Why
at
is
this
it
point.
such a big secret? I don't understand.
Well, I feel like there's a slight pressure on him to pick the right one because I think the age question is a big issue. Obviously more for Biden than for Trump, but like, to me, it's like, I think Trump has to show like something does happen to me, I have a good replacement. All right, David, see you tomorrow. We have a big week tomorrow, big week. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Trump picks. I mean, I still feel like it's going to be something that no one won't be surprising, but it's not one that people expect. I feel like in the sense of it'll probably be some like loyalist dude or like some radio host or something who's a little bit younger. I had one clip that I saw people were talking about. What's this?
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said.
I love Biden's reaction in this.
I don't think he knows what he said either.
President Trump?
It's malarkey in my whole life. I've never heard so much malarkey in my
Oh my god.
You have the morals of an alley cat.
The moles of an alley cat. I don't even remember that. I must probably were talking over it. What is this one?
And you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood. And you know,
we'll knock on wood wherever we may have wood. I missed that one too. Like I said, this guy can be VP. They're talking to.
Biden, his heart is in the right place, but he's a little aged and
letting callers talk right now. Derek, you should call in.
Sit down and Donald Trump.
I'm not calling in.
Shout out the stream, dude.
Are you saying that the president should step down now?
No, I'm thinking when the yes, I don't think he should run.
You don't think he should be running right now, 4 months out from the election?
No, I don't.
Base.
I don't. And not because
if you're a Democratic voter, you should be saying base.
Aging president, and I think his time is up.
All right. In the spin,
I think his time is up.
The Georgia Senator Ralph Warnock.
That's a Democrat from Texas. Democrat voter from Texas.
One second, guys. We're gonna do it after.
I mean, I think folks have been saying that since fucking last year. That like the Democrat Party theoretically could redo a primary, or they can just pick somebody. That's almost has happened before when Carter ran actually for his re-election. The guy definitely owns a 12 gauge. I mean, yeah, it's Texas. What was I saying? But yeah, it's like, I feel like at this point, they wouldn't have done this debate if there was any skepticism about Biden running. The Democrats are totally okay running with Biden, because if they lose, they get more fundraising. That's how I look at this point. They don't actually care about winning. Or if they do, they really don't trust the polling, or they are hoping that Biden will just do good enough to win, which is possible. I still think it could be close. It will be close, 100%. It's just whether or not Biden will have the even remotely close to the same turnout he did have in 2020 to beat the probably, I would imagine, Trump having close to the turnout he got in 2020 as well. Because Trump did have the most turnout for someone who lost the Electoral College. That's why I think Democrat voters should be concerned, is you have that in the back of your head that like, oh, well, Trump did get second most votes for a losing president. And who's to say he has lost that many, you know? So when's the next debate?
Good question.
Isn't it in September?
Thank you, Ethan.
Thanks, Ethan, for popping in, hanging out. Greatest chef in this country, and maybe greatest president one day. Tuesday, September. So we have to wait till September, which is probably good. We'll probably get more. We'll know who VPs are by then. I wonder if we might get VPs debates too, Jarek. So you gotta be ready for that.
Please be Ramaswamy against Harris, please.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I agree. Actually, it'll be a good VP debate. If it's like somebody, honestly, probably anyone else, it probably will suck.
Just don't give me another Mike Pence vice presidential debate. It was just so bad last two times.
They've only agreed to 2 debates, one hosted by CNN and the other by ABC News. Oh, right here. CBS News invited both campaigns to participate in a vice presidential debate on either July 23rd or August 13th, which the Biden campaign accepted. Shit, when's one of them? September 10th? Oh, I'm going to be in Japan.
Oh, stick.
At 9 p.m.? I don't even know. Was that Eastern time? Oh, I don't even know what time. That might be like in the morning. 9 p.m. Japan time. Or Eastern time to Japan. Yeah, maybe Jerick will have to be covering that one, folks.
Give me the lock sticker Sona.
Not my
Midnight.
time. It's doing mountain time though. Oh, EST. What would be 9 p.m.? Yeah, that'd be 10 a.m. on a Friday.
Oh, that's good. That's good for you.
Yeah, I want to do vacation. Do I want to waste 2 hours, 3 hours in Japan?
Hey, then you have like,
No.
come on, you got like the best, time in the house. We're all gonna be going to sleep, and you're gonna be waking up to a presidential debate.
I don't know. Probably not. Don't count on it. But I did say I'd watch every single one. It might be when I come back we watch it. Maybe.
Boo.
Or maybe Jerick's got to get the keys to the stream. He can figure it out maybe.
I will not figure it out. My computer does not work like that.
But while we are kind of closing shop here, this was fun. And if you liked this, probably the biggest thing Jerick and I are doing kind of similar to this is on, November 5th?
Election day.
Election day, November 5th. I think it's November 5th. Now I'm second guessing.
It is November 5th.
Yeah, November 5th, 2024. We are planning, Jerick's going to come out here on Joe Biden's dime to
If he's
host
not dead by then.
To host a Democrat party. Just kidding. I was gonna say Democrat party to cheer on our favorite Democrats. No, we're gonna be doing a kind of live coverage of election night. We're gonna start probably a couple hours, maybe several hours early. I don't know how long the stream will go, but we're still figuring stuff out. But basically, we're gonna do a fantasy football game out of the election. And I'm also hoping we can maybe raise some money for Palestine as well. I'm trying to think of ways to make goals for that, outside of hoping that, people have good hearts and will want to donate some money. But basically, we're just going to try to stay up as long as we can to cover the election and maybe we'll get results that night. I don't know, but at least the whole night we'll try to do it. Yeah, we're probably gonna start early in the day, and we're gonna make it kind of fun, but also informative as much as we can. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I don't know if we officially announced it, but it's happening. November 5th. So be prepared, folks, for that.
Making elections great again.
Making elections great again. Yeah.
Have some fun.
Yeah. But yeah, be on the lookout for that. Probably more details will come. Probably honestly, like in October, in terms of like time and what it'll actually.
I'm just gonna cook just the most typical American food: hot dogs, burgers.
Well, you're gonna have to make them.
Chicken.
We're gonna have to make them all vegetarian. So.
Well, we're just gonna buy Arby's, you know, or KFC.
Yeah, KFC, that known also vegetarian options. We'll figure all that out. It'll be fun, I think. So yeah. So until I guess September, maybe. We'll see you then.
Well, the vice presidential debate is technically next, so.
Oh, that's true. In August potentially. So we'll see. We'll see what we get. But thank y'all for watching. Thanks, Jarek, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Anything you want to shout out before I end it here?
No.
No, nothing.
Nothing to shout out. Disappointed.
It's disappointed. Okay. Well, yeah. See y'all later. All right. Friday tomorrow. Sock Gang. Be here.
Yeah.
Week, I think 24.
David's about to get 30 kills tomorrow each game.
That'd be awesome.
Watch that happen. I want a big shout out to David. There you go. Shout out to David,
the main character of everyone's lives.
Yeah, the general.
The general. All right. GG, y'all.
All right. Bye-bye.